Well, for those of you here in the paddock today, and for those of you tuning in live around the world, welcome to the main event coverage for the Stars Championship Series at the Steel City Showdown here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Xander Clemens, alongside me, Simon Sykes, as we are here covering all the action and have been all weekend long. It all comes down to this, the main events to decide who wins out after we've gone through qualifying, 2 rounds of heat races, and of course the pre-finals earlier this morning. That especially mattered in OKN Stars because we had to send, unfortunately, 10-plus drivers home that will not make the main event here this afternoon. And we had wet conditions earlier in the day. For what we've heard, the track is getting back to dry, but still, it does look to be a little bit different than yesterday condition-wise, Simon.
Certainly. A lot of good heat racing action yesterday and then into pre-finals this morning where it was mixed conditions for most of those races. It started off a lot wetter on the track, but as we continued through the pre-finals, it continued to dry out. Those times continued to fall, and as we get to final racing action here, we have a clean and green track to go racing on. Up first coming is KA Masters, an exciting event to be sure, and then we'll follow through the rest of the schedule. A lot of good racing coming up.
Yeah, let's take a look here at Pitt Race, the famous water tower that heads up Spectator Hill with the clouds behind. Partly cloudy skies here, highs of about maybe 68 to lower 70s in the air temperature, and the track's fully dried out as the field makes its way towards the back section of the racetrack to turn at number 10. Here we go out of 11 for your KA 100 Masters. Let's go through the starting lineup for the first main event on the order. On the pole, the driver who took the gamble on the transition race from wets to dries, Mark Steele on the Steel Motorsports Bureau Art, opted for slick tires when the rest of the field pretty much all went on rains, and he was able to score the victory. He's joined on the outside of the front row by the driver who's been the man to beat all weekend, Chris Horan, the privateer with support from Pro Kart Concepts aboard the Cosmic. Row number 2's got Logan Weigel and John Bonanno. Bonanno aboard that blue and yellow fluorescent comp kart on the inside, that red and black Tony kart of Weigel. Then you go back even further. It's Jacob Neary there on the inside of row 3 alongside Scott Carapalati. Brian Daniele furthest back. He started all weekend in 7th on the BJR MDR Tony kart. And to his outside, it's Kim Carapalati. We're underway down to turn number 1, and everybody's going to make it through the opening corner as a nice little lead begins for Mark Steele down to turn 3.
Mark Steele, the one that took heavy advantage of the mixed conditions earlier. Chris Horan has been the man to beat all weekend, so can Mark Steele hold him off? Horan already with the pressure into turn 5. They're not going to defensive, but look at Bonanno to the inside, moving his way up into 3rd place.
Yeah, John Bonanno, they're able to get through, and then Jacob Neary loses a little more ground. So as the field climbs the hill for the first time through turn number 9, let's go down to turn 10. Chris Horan trying to close up to Mark Steele. Steele's been decent in the drive, maybe not as fast as the 224, but he's in the best place to try and win it. As, wow, someone, that looks like one of the Carapalatis that got knocked off the racetrack over in the infield. He's going to let the field by. That's the second time this weekend, Simon, someone's been knocked off and cut the circuit.
I haven't seen it in racing often, and this weekend I was not expecting to see it twice, but twice a driver ended up accidentally cutting the track after getting knocked off earlier in the lap. And as we come through corner number 1, it is still Mark Steele, Chris Horan right there applying all the pressure. Steele already on the defensive so early into this race, still 14 minutes plus 2 laps remaining, and Mark Steele wanting to hold that lead over Chris Horan, and that's allowed John Bonanno and Jacob Neary to close up, and now we have a 4-kart fight for the lead here.
Yeah, good battle here. Let's go side by side while they begin to duel in the early parts of this main event. Down on pit lane, Wes Duchak had a good run there. We haven't talked to him yet this weekend. Now we will. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Xander. Wes, I mean, considering yesterday a mixed bag of results for you in the heat races, I'm sure you're pretty happy with the third place result, right?
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I mean, we showed the speed that we had. The kart was hooked up. The engine was hooked up. So it's just a good result, you know, a bit of a confidence boost for us. So.
Yeah, I mean, considering, Brandon Carr, Henry Wheeler still put a pretty solid gap on the field, what are you guys missing to get up to those drivers?
I think it was more just down to my starting position. I had a good first heat, but the second heat had an issue with the engine. The reeds kind of disappeared, but so I finished basically dead last, and that put us in 7th for the pre-final. But, I think we had a good recovery, and I think we'll be able to take the fight to them for the final. So.
Yeah, I mean, new tires for the final. I mean, how's your car feel on new tires for what you guys tested on Friday?
It felt really good. In qualifying on Friday, my fastest lap was my second lap. The third lap, it was feeling pretty hooked up. But then again, I had an engine issue on the third lap, so that one kind of got screwed up. But, I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, the track right now is really grippy. It almost felt like I had new tires on. It was kind of crazy. But I think it's going to be really hooked up. So.
Thank you, Wes.
No problem.
There you go for the Medina Power DR North America driver, Wes Duchak. He feels good for the main. How about this battle, though? KA Masters, they have been duking it out. Give it now to John Bonanno to the point there with Jacob Neary moving to second. Here comes Chris Horan to third. He'll even look for second for a moment as Mark Steele goes from first back to fourth in turn number 1.
And the fighting exploded just a few laps ago while we were side by side. Mark Steele leading down the front straight, got passed by Chris Horan into turn 1, crossed him up on the exit, and brought the field with him. Both Bonanno and Neary sliding by Horan, but the fighting has since even exploded even more. We come down the hill through turn number 10. It is still Bonanno out front ahead as they work through turns 11 headed towards turn 12. Bonanno in that fluo yellow. We can still make that kart out. And Jacob Neary into P2, Horan P3, and Mark Steele just a few kart links off the back in P4.
Yeah, Mark Steele right on the tail now, car length away as he closes back up and cleans the tires off. Good lap for Ryan Kastner as he pulls forward. John Bonanno still your leader early here, and they've somewhat settled out. Hopefully they'll stay settled enough as we can go side by side for some more intel. How about it from Alex Stanfield on that team GWR Gillard? It looked like it wasn't the most fun ride out there, but he survived to stay inside the top 5 for the main. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Xander. I mean, Alex, impressive defense from you there in that race to come away with a P4 somehow. In terms of pace-wise, you're probably outside the top 7. Must be pretty frustrating though. All year long, you've been fighting, struggling with the infield of the go-kart. I mean, what do you guys need?
Yeah, I think we're just going to look at the data and discuss it with the team, and we'll figure something out. I think we're fast on the straights, but in the infield, we just can't keep up right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked to me about the tire wear, how much it affected you in that pre-final. Do you expect more of the same in the final, even with new tires?
Not with new tires. I was just sliding in the high speed, and it just destroyed my rear tires.
All right, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, there you go from Alex Stanfield. Hearing again a little more team debrief, and they'll see if they can go back to war and bring something to fight with for the win in the main and get him back to where we're used to seeing the Texan. As they go into turn number 5, John Bonanno still at the point over Jacob Neary's AEM Karting EOS kart. Chris Horan just kind of riding in third, Mark Steele in fourth. All of the drivers in the top 4 hitting their personal best that time, all of them within about a tenth and a half.
And before that, I wanted to give a small shout out down in P11, the number 222 machine of Paul Montepoli was fastest of the race up until that last lap. So that kart firing off well. All the way down in P11, he'll be looking to make up a few spots as he has a group of karts around him. But back at the front, it's John Bonanno leading Jacob Neary through the bus stop to work this next lap.
And that's a good turnaround for Paul Montepoli. As again, he had to start all the way back deep in the pack in 16th. So he's up 5 so far as he works on Brant Estes, and we'll keep tabs on them. They're not terribly far back from the leaders, all things considered. In fact, the entire top 11, as there goes Montepoli up the leaderboard to 10th now, and Estes with a problem. The 209 slowing somewhere. He has not yet crossed the loop. So don't know what just happened to Brant Estes, unfortunately. But for Paul Montepoli, 5.5 seconds back from the leaders. If they fought more, he might get there. For now, though, they're lined up, and Jacob Neary showing a lot of, patience by just pushing John Bonanno. He could have gone by in a number of corners. He has chosen to wait behind him here and ride this one through. We're still only at the halfway marker right now with Bonanno, Neary, and Chris Horan headed to turn number 12.
Yeah, with the final being nearly double the length of the pre-final or the heat races yesterday and a little bit longer than the pre-finals this morning, there's plenty of time. You can let the action settle for a little bit, and that's what the front of the field has done. And all this riding in line from the top three has dropped Mark Steele off the back. He's setting personal best laps, but they are 3-4 tenths off the top three currently. Yeah,
they are just a little bit off. Brian Daniele again. That was a 58.6 to give you the exact number for the guy back in 8th, a 58.4 for Anthony Stifler, and a 5 for Carapolati. The leaders all at 58 flats and 57 nines. At least the top three were, with Steele 4 tenths off, and the rest of the field still a little ways off. Paul Montepoli was at a 58.3, so that puts him fourth fastest, back in the 9th position. He's reeling in Brian Daniele. We'll see if we can maybe take a look at that, actually, because they're probably close together right now. Here come your leaders on through. Here comes Ryan Castor and Scott Carapolati, Anthony Stifler. There's Brian Daniele just ahead of Paul Montepoli on the Maranello. The 222 has caught up to him there, and trailing right behind the AMV cartwheels machine, just ahead of Logan Weigel, who started way up the order in the 276 and just has dropped like a rock since this deal got underway.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's picking up the pace there the last couple of laps, but he has dropped way down out of the order. Compared to where he originally started, as we look up to the front of the field, the top three still nose to tail, no fighting yet. The fighting exploded early in this race with the first couple of laps, the top four dicing to see who would settle where. But now in the midpoint of this race, the top three have been content to line it up and drive it away from Mark Steele. Bonanno now with a 2-kart length lead over Jacob Neary.
Yeah, John Bonanno now gets even bigger of a gap as Neary goes wide. And, in fact, Chris Horan starting to maybe look a little bit high and low to get around him. Horan has been a couple car lengths away since Neary's been locked and loaded on John Bonanno's bumper the last few laps. Now let's see, do we have a challenge for second? They're both going to pull up in the toe still of Bonanno, so he's not going to get enough of a run in turn number 1. Maybe he tries something down in turn 3. All that, because John Bonanno's not slowing down. That last lap, he just went purple again, 57.9, or a personal best, sorry. He went green, 57.97, within a couple hundredths of the best time. And Neary, a 58.1, a 58.1 as well for Chris Horan. If John Bonanno is able to keep going on that trend, he'll be long gone by the time the checkered flag flies.
But Jacob Neary's not going to let him get away that easily. He's already caught up to the rear bumper of John Bonanno in the lead and separated himself just a bit from Chris Horan. But Chris Horan, we know, is going to have a lot of pace at the end of this race. He's been the guy to beat all weekend, but right now it is John Bonanno controlling this race.
Yeah, John Bonanno on the comp cart. The blue and yellow leads over the blue and white of Jacob Neary. The purple, pink, and white Cosmic of Chris Horan. 5.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Look how far they have dropped. The pre-final winner, Mark Steele. He is now 2.5 seconds back and continuing to fade. Ryan Kastner still holding the 5th spot ahead of Scott Carapolati, Anthony Stifler. Paul Montepoli did get around Brian Daniele. That's back for 8th, so we went back to check on it a moment ago. He's gone by. There is Mark Steele on the Steel Motorsports Bureau Art, all by his lonesome there in no man's land. Probably not the most fun race right now for Mark Steele, just watching the leaders drive away. He's fast enough. I don't think anyone will catch him. He still has to hit good laps and stay focused for that to happen, but 4th looks like it may be all she wrote for Mark Steele here this afternoon.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't have the pace of the top 3 as of these past couple of laps. All the top 3 went 57.9 last time by. John Bonanno setting the fastest lap of the race. That's about a half second quicker than Mark Steele back in 4th, and behind him he's only got about a 4/10 advantage over Ryan Kastner in that number 2 plate right now, so the fight could heat up for 4th. Mark Steele not all the way in the clear as of yet.
No, not fully at all here. 4 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Let's see Ryan Kastner now over Anthony Stifler, Scott Carapolati, Paul Montepoli, Brian Daniele. That's the line all the way on down, as then Logan Weigel is there, but you're watching Kastner in the number 2 just at the front there in 5th.
And Paul Montepoli, last time by, it flashed up on the screen, purple, 57.812. So lapping faster than the leaders. A lot of pace in that number 222 kart. quicker than the leaders by just about a tenth and a half last time by. On your screen, Ryan Kasner with pressure from behind. That is Anthony Stifler coming through turn number 10 here, Xander.
Yeah, Stifler's close. Going to look inside. Move Anthony Stifler to the top 5. He gets by last year's vice champion, the number 2 plate in Ryan Castor. So move that HMG Motorsports Tony Kart of Anthony Stifler a spot higher. And it also pushes both of them a little bit further back towards the fastest driver on the racetrack in Paul Montepoli down there in the red and black and yellow Maranello. He's going to look to the inside of the Carapolati machine. Scott Carapolati back to 8th. Paul Montepoli picks up another one. He's P7 as the drive forward continues.
This is a fun one to watch, too. He's picking up a lot of spots, running some really quick times. He's going to catch these next 2 pretty quickly. It looked like Stifler may have been able to get it done on Ryan Kasner. Indeed, Stifler up into that number 6 spot over Kasner. And while this fighting is helping Stifler, he's got to be on the lookout for Paul Montepoli in P8. Charging hard with the fastest kart on the track. Kasner jacking the kart way up on the entry there. That inside tire coming way off the ground. A lot of grip in that kart, maybe a bit too much as he is struggling, losing Stifler very quickly, and now falling into the clutches of Paul Montepoli.
Yeah, he's definitely losing touch there as they come out of turn number 12 and 13. Down through the bus stop here towards turn number 1. And it is Anthony Stifler, Ryan Kasner, Paul Montepoli. Look at that at the end of the frame there. Scott Carapolati, Brian Daniele, and Logan Weigel are not terribly far back through turn number 1.
As we work into turn number 3, you see the fight heating up. Kasner now under heavy pressure from that 222 machine, but he gets a rocket of an exit and drives all the way back to the rear bumper. Anthony Stifler just in front. So a 3, maybe 4 kart fight starting to break out here, and now we are in the late stages of this final. Only a minute and 44 seconds plus 2 laps remaining.
What I like
so
to see, Simon,
3,
that
4 laps.
sun was shining back over in turns 4 and 5. The rain is gone, and this track is going to change again.
It is, as the sun heats up this track. The low grip after the rain had everyone trying to figure it out, but now it will return to the same form we saw yesterday. That heat comes into it, and we look farther at the front. This is back for the lead. John Bonanno ahead of Chris Horan. Chris Horan worked his way up into P2, is putting the pressure on John Bonanno heading down into turn 3. They have established just a couple of kart lengths over Jacob Neary there in P3.
Yeah, they pulled away a little. In Neary's case, that was still a good lap by most standards of 57.9. The leaders just hit 57.8, so they've turned it up even more with a minute plus 2 laps to go. But for Chris Horan, I feel like he's done a pretty good job of managing his equipment through this race, and now he's turning up late as Neary blows turn number 10. He goes wide. We've seen a lot of drivers really struggle planning to use the Rhino liner to go in deep to that corner, but that off-camber banking drop down catches you off guard and makes that line pretty narrow.
Yeah, you're expecting a bit more grip when you get onto the Rhino patch, but the rain we'd had earlier today made that part slicker. So now as you get in there, you expect it to catch it on the way down the hill, and if it doesn't catch it, you're just going to go way wide. And as you see, that cost him several kart lengths to this fight for the lead.
Yeah, and he was probably pushing a little more than where he was comfortable with, knowing that they had gone faster the lap before, and he was still as fast as he'd ever been, a tenth slower. Into 5 here now. We're going to see that the timer at the top of your screen will hit 0. That means we are at the 3 to go signal, and we'll get the 2 to go signal next time by. So John Bonanno takes him up the hill through turn number 9, and Chris Horan is ready to duel here at just about any moment. He's on the bumper coming out of 10.
Just over 2 laps left in this race, and the fight for the lead has been established. It is John Bonanno versus Chris Horan. Horan been the man to beat all weekend, but John Bonanno holding him honest, making him work for it. Bonanno currently leads this one. They'll come through the bus stop for the second to last time here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. 2 to go in the air. White flag will be next time by. Chris Horan all over that rear bumper of John Bonanno. The question is, when is he going to make that move, Xander?
Yeah, he looked a little bit low there coming out of 1, but I don't think he's going to try anything in turn 3. Bonanno holds. Jacob Neary just kind of looking on, hoping for some early passing on this final lap and a half around, but it's not happened yet. Bonanno will lead us up the hill to turn number 9 aboard that blue and yellow comp car.
Horan all over that rear bumper. Will he make the move into 10? Will Bonanno go defensive? No, nothing happening as of yet. Bonanno leaving the door wide open. Haran not going to go for it, biding his time, waiting for the opportune moment. They'll come out of turn 11, head into 12. This is the second to last complex on this track. They'll head into the bus stop. White flag will be in the air this time by. If they fight hard enough, maybe Jacob Neary can throw his name back in the hat for this win.
Yeah, Jacob Neary right there. This will help. Chris Haran to the inside and clear in turn number 1. John Bonanno back to second. Jacob Neary third. 4 cars back to Neary. Down to turn number 3. Haran goes a little narrow now on the final circuit. We go to 5. Bonanno sets up high to go low. Not able to do it as Haran covers that off as well.
And Haran making that move into turn 1, established that he wants to lead this last lap, and it quickly gaining a few kart lengths. Jacob Neary now on the rear bumper. John Bonanno. Will Bonanno have enough time to get back to Haran? Only a couple corners left in this first feature of the Steel City Showdown. It's Chris Haran through turn 11. Only a 1 kart length advantage now coming down to the last couple of corners. Bonanno closing in, not quite there. Neary right on the back bumper of Bonanno, and they'll come out of the final couple of corners and head towards the bus stop.
Through the bus stop, final time, Chris Haran, the hometown hero, puts one off on the final lap in turn 1 and wins KA Masters here for the Steel City Showdown. John Bonanno just could not recover from that turn 1 pass. Chris Haran plays it perfectly, and he wins here on Sunday in it when it counts in the main over Bonanno, Neary, Mark Steele, and then Ryan Castor ends up all the way inside the top 5 at the end as he gets back around Anthony Stifler's HMG Motorsports, Tony Kart, Paul Montepoli as well. No idea what happened to the Maranello. He was ripping forward, and on that final lap ends up spun around off the racetrack. He crosses the line in 9th, Simon. What a great run he had, though.
Yeah, it was a great run he had. He got up to this battle. It was a couple of karts there for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and unfortunately caught the worst end of it on the last lap. But Jacob Neary, not having the pace in the middle of the race, lost touch with the front 2, but on that last lap, a 57.591, 0.2 quicker than anybody else on the track. The fastest lap of the race by quite a margin, finding the pace near the end, but only able to come up with a P3 finish.
Yeah, Jacob Neary there, 57.591. He'll have to hold his head high on that one and roll on in 2 months to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Chris Haran, our first winner of the afternoon. The blue sky starting to finally poke through as the clouds begin to separate. It's a gorgeous day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the Steel City Showdown. You're watching the Stars Championship Series live right here on Kart Chaser, and we'll be back. Welcome back here live from Pittsburgh for the Steel City Showdown. Let's take it through the starting lineup for the Micro Swift division. Lawrence Perriman, an impressive drive in a very wet pre-final on the LN card in that blue and yellow number 28. Will get to lead the field to the green here in the main event Alongside him will be the driver who has been consistently no worse than about third all weekend. That's the blue and red number 16 of Colton Schniegenberg. Then back to row number 2. Let's pick up the rest of our field with Emerson Lane on the green and white number 50 Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic. He's joined on the outside by that blue and yellow comp kart in the Timmy Tech number 54 entry. It's Cade Wolf. And moving to the edge of your top 5, that Team Ferris Racing blue and black Kart Republic of Jake Manolio. The youngest drivers in the Stars Championship Series structure are making their way to the bus stop here for their main for the rest of the top 10. You've got Sterling Mulata 6th, Danny O'Gara 7th, Anthony Mazzaculo 8th, Austin Taylor 9th, and Caleb Smith, who picked up 9 spots, mind you, in that pre-final to come from the rear to go all the way up to 10th. He completes the 5th row, and we get set for a 20-driver field. Here we are into the start box as we go to the lights to see if we can get a clean start with the sun shining on main event number 2 this afternoon. Attempt number 1. We are good to go in green down to the first corner. Lawrence Perriman leads them in the blue and yellow LN card.
And through turn 1, that's Colton Schniegenberg sliding into P3 there, who would have been our original pole sitter, sweeping the weekend so far with a 5-second pushback penalty in that pre-final, relegated to start P2. Will work his way up into P3 so far. The 28 machine of Lawrence Perriman, your pole sitter, going side by side with Schniegenberg out of turn 5, and that will give Emerson Lane a nice healthy lead so far.
As the field heads up the hill here with Lawrence Perriman struggling just a little bit to kind of hang on. Colton Schniegenberg, I would imagine, is going to try and dive the inside in 10, and he does, but Perriman shuts the door, and now Cade Wolf has to make a decision of where he goes in the 54 because they're all stacked up from second on back. Schniegenberg again looks high, fades back in line, now goes for the crossover coming out, but kind of pinches the exit, so it'll be net neutral by the time they get to the bus stop. Emerson Lane, what a start in the number 50.
Excellent start for the number 50 Trinity Karting Group machine as he is out front by several kart lengths. Look at that. Colton Schniegenberg down to the inside fairly. Finally on Lawrence Perriman, not going to be able to get that done. Perriman closing down the apex, holding off that P2 position. Schniegenberg back down the inside of turn number 3. He's going to dive him. He's going to stick that one, drive it all the way to the exit, and complete that move into P2. And that's the number 9 of Jake Manolio sliding his way into P4.
Yeah, Jake Manolio there on that white helmet in the blue and black Team Ferris Racing Kart Republic right there. Right behind him is the new TKG entry of Sterling Mulata in the green and white number 7. All the while trying to run back up to the opening gap that's been built up for Emerson Lane is everybody else trailing Colton Schniegenberg. So you can see there's Emerson, a round 2 winner from the King of the Castle, trying to go back-to-back in the Stars Championship Series in Micro Swift. He leads them to the bus stop, but look at the gap already, opening up from second to third and closing up from first to second. Colton Schniegenberg's on the way.
He's got some pace in that number 16 kart, been the man to beat here all weekend as we see. That was Jake Manolio looking for a move to the inside of turn number 1, not going to stick that one. And look, Colton Schniegenberg already on the rear bumper. Emerson Lane pushing him down into turn 3, pushes him just a little bit wide and will complete that move. A nice little bump and run there for Colton Schniegenberg. Will take the lead back here.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to go by, but Emerson Lane definitely was on the edge of grip and didn't expect it. So now Colton Schniegenberg with a bump and run on his fellow Texan. Leads back up the hill to turn number 9. Lane back to second. There is also Cade Wolf making a move down in turn number 1. The Timmy Tech Comp Kart has worked his way into 5th in that bright yellow machine. He got around Sterling Mulata's TKG KR. And then it's Anthony Mazzaculo back there in 7th. Danny O'Gara 9th. Chris Lavoie with a great start, and then Austin Taylor rounds out the top 10. Here they come towards the bus stop. This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th on your screen. Lawrence Perriman getting a big shove from Jake Manolio with Cade Wolf looking on as Colton Schniegenberg leads here at the end of lap 3.
And quick times there from Lawrence Perriman and Jake Manolio as they start to close their way back up to this leading duo of Colton Schniegenberg and Emerson Lane. Last time by, it was Cade Wolf just behind them with the fastest lap of the race by about 3/10. So this entire top 5 starting to close back up.
Good run for Lawrence Perriman to shut the door on Jake Manolio there, and it actually gave a really good run up to the bumper of Emerson Lane. So 5-car pack beginning to form. Cade Wolf just barely getting on the bus before it left the station when he made that move on Sterling Mulata. So nicely done for Cade. And behind him, Mulata losing about a second or so in the last lap. He's got Anthony Mazzaculo right there, who I believe went by in the number 6. and Danny O'Gara close also. But for the leaders, that's where we've got our eyes on, because at any moment we're waiting on Emerson Lane to make a counterattack. He's yet to do it on the green and white number 50. Looking back, checks the margin, sees Lawrence Perriman is closing in. So they're all going to close up to Colton Schniegenberg down to turn 1. Who ducks out of line into the corner? Nobody does. It's single file.
Manalio took a look early in the straight, decided he was content to stay in line behind Lawrence Perriman, as it's still Colton Schniegenberg. Emerson Lane all the way up the inside. He's going to go for it. New leader Emerson Lane through turn 3. Lawrence Perriman going to the outside of Colton Schniegenberg. He's going to lose a spot to Jake Manalio on the inside of the horseshoe here. And the top 5 all single file exiting turn number 5 and heading up the hill.
Yeah, so Emerson Lane back to the lead with a nice move in 3 where he lost it a few laps ago. Let's see if there's anything else down in turn 10 for the leading group of 5. Doesn't look like it. It's single file. Emerson Lane, Schniegenberg, Manalio, Perriman, and Cade Wolf still kind of just watching there in the 5th spot, not going by yet as they head for 11.
Emerson Lane still your leader into turn 12. Colton Schniegenberg all the way up that rear bumper, and the rest of the field following suit. Jake Manalio worked his way up into P3. Now he's catching the leaders as Colton Schniegenberg comes onto the front straight right up behind Emerson Lane. Is he going to look for a move this time? No, they single file into turn 1. The top 3 separating themselves by a car length to Lawrence Perriman and Cade Wolf behind.
Down to 3 here. Emerson Lane a little bit wide in turn 3, this time with no help at all. Colton Schniegenberg is going to pay for Lane's mistake, though. He gets shuffled to the wayside, loses 2 spots. Jake Manalio, Lawrence Perriman move by to 2nd and 3rd, and 5th still Cade Wolf, just kind of trapped back there.
Colton Schniegenberg, unfortunate on the end of that one, exiting turn number 3, got stuck on the outside from Emerson Lane's mistake as Lane runs wide in turn 10 as well. Now it's Lawrence Perriman on the outside heading into turn number 11. Colton Schniegenberg will repay the favor, passing him through turn 11 as they head through turn 12. It's now the top 3 separating themselves over Cade Wolf and Lawrence Perriman behind.
Yeah, you saw Perriman there pressuring, getting pressure from Cade Wolf. He had to fend him off, and in doing so, it cost them a lot of track time, over a second back to 4th. So not ideal for Cade or for Lawrence. As we go to turn 3, let's see, does Jake Manalio want to go to the lead? Not yet. He'll ride behind Emerson Lane through the opening couple of turns for now, and they may stabilize for the moment now as the pack gets smaller. We're still, again, just around the halfway marker, 8.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go in this main event for the Micro Swifts. For those of you just joining us, we're at the top of the order, only 2nd on the class lineup for the mains today. Side by side, no, not going to happen. It looked like Manalio might have poked the nose down low. I must be mistaken there. He stays 2nd. Emerson Lane leads out of 11.
And as they work through turn 11, the top 3 still nose to tail. Jake Manalio right up on the rear bumper. Emerson Lane, Colton Schniegenberg lurking in 3rd as they exit. Schniegenberg with the better exit over Manalio. He's going to push Manalio. That'll put him back up to the Trinity Karting Group machine out front. Emerson Lane still leading across the line, and into turn 1 they go.
Yeah, single file with a really quick pace. That was a 101.23 from Colton Schniegenberg, and the same for Lane and Manalio. It was a 10th better than Cade Wolf, who had to get around Lawrence Perriman last time by, and a couple tenths better than Perriman. They were a lot better than the rest of the field, though. Half a second better than Anthony Mazzucchello, Chris Lavoie, Sterling Mulata. Bryson Scales has now cracked the top 10, but even then he was still 4 tenths off the pace of the leader. So the top 5, head and shoulders above everybody. It'll just be a matter of if Lawrence Perriman and Cade Wolf can get back up to the top 3. For now, while they stay single file, that's a tall ask.
And Jake Manalio hopping over the rear bumper, Emerson Lane on the exit of turn 10. That'll give Colton Schniegenberg the opportunity to pass him, and that may be just what you're waiting for, dragging the rest of the top 5 back into this conversation. Emerson Lane now a couple kart links as they head into the bus stop. Coming through, heading onto the front straight. The top 5 now about a kart length apart each. It's a couple kart lengths back to Lawrence Perriman, or Cade Wolf actually getting past Lawrence Perriman. He's making gains on the top 3.
Here's a look back at that next group there as Anthony Mazzucchello is by his lonesome, but behind him, Christopher Lavoie leads this pack in the 22. He's under pressure. Here comes Sterling Mulata on the inside in the TKG. KR trying to follow as the number 12 MDR BJR entry of Bryson Scales. Then there's that MPG Motorsports machine of Danny O'Gara on the number 67. And at the end of the grouping is Austin Taylor, the MPG Motorsports teammate to Danny O'Gara as they climb the hill through turn 9. This 5-car group right now, again, this is 7th back to 11th with about a second of their own back to Griffin Vukic and Caleb Smith.
As they work through turn number 11, that number 7 machine of Sterling Mulata leading this crowd around. They go side by side on the exit into turn number 12. That is the 22 machine of Christopher Lavoie making it past, and this whole group is fighting side by side into the bus stop here, Xander.
This is tight as off goes the racetrack. Off the racetrack goes Lavoie, and man, what a save. Keep your foot in it, kid, and he's going to even make a spot back. What a move by the Fox and Son Karting Kart Republic driver Christopher Lavoie. Elbows out, clawing and digging to hang on to those spots.
He certainly enjoyed the most action over the past lap, jumping across the grass and not losing much ground out of it as the group here still continues to fight up front. They're running really quick times. Cade Wolf, a 0.4 of a second advantage over the leaders last time by. Now he's driven up to the front of this group, and it is Colton Schniegeberg now in the lead. Emerson Lane fell to the wayside, dropped to P2. Jake Manalio still sitting there in P3. Now it is a 4-kart battle for the lead, just under 5 minutes plus 2 laps remaining.
Here they come to the bus stop already. Colton Schniegenberg, knowing that they're going to reel him back in. Does he start to fend off the charges by blocking low? Normal line into 1, and a big shot there in the braking zone as the pack caught him right at the very end of the straightaway. Emerson Lane on that green and yellow helmet looking, maybe, no, not through 3. We stay tucked in, but Cade Wolf is definitely there. Lawrence Perriman, even though he looked like he was a little bit off of Cade Wolf the last few laps, he's still not far back, and wow, did we just get bottled up there through 5 and 6.
Not sure what happened on the exit of turn 5 there for Colton Schniegenberg, but he and Emerson Lane going side by side through the exit of the horseshoe. Now up the hill, it is Colton Schniegenberg on the defense as Emerson Lane goes high, tries to cross him up on the exit. They are going to stay single file.
And now that lets Lawrence Perriman get back up to the train, so we're 5 deep again. Schniegenberg, Lane, Manalio, Wolf, Perriman back there on the blue and yellow LN cart for BJR and MDR. Through to the bus stop here, Colton Schniegenberg up and over the curbing on the Team GWR Energies, defended a little bit with 3.5 minutes to go. What does he want to do into turn number 1? Normal line here, and you can barely pick out the individual drivers, how tightly packed they are behind each other.
And we have 5 different types of karts in the top 5, I believe. Everyone on a different team, no teammates to help here as Emerson Lane dives down to the inside of Colton Schniegenberg. He's going to take over the top spot as the rest of them stay single file working into the horseshoe.
That's a good point, Simon. Only commonality is the Kart Republics. It's a Kart Republic for Trinity Karting Group and the green and white number 50 for Emerson Lane. The blue and red Team GWR Energy of Colton Schniegenberg is second. Then the black and blue Kart Republic is Jake Manalio. He's got the white helmet there in third. The blue and yellow Comp Kart is Cade Wolf, and the blue and yellow OTK Lando Norris Kart is Lawrence Perriman back in that 5th position. So coming out of turn 13, Emerson Lane will lead them all to the bus stop. They've got 6 seconds out back. It doesn't look like they're going to shake each other off their tail. So we're going to have 5 kids going at it for the lead and the win with 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Lane takes them into 1 as he tries to go back to back.
We're not going to have to wait long for the action to kick off here. Not much time left in this race now. We're headed towards the later stages of it. Still Emerson Lane leading over Colton Schniegenberg. Look for Jake Manalio to get in on the action here soon. And Cade Wolf lurking P4 all race. He wants to make his way up inside this top 3, get onto the top step of the podium. Every driver fighting hard near the end. Now you see it start to space out up the hill as Emerson Lane and Colton Schniegenberg enjoy just a couple of tenths over Jake Manalio as he closes the gap down the hill.
Yeah, out of turn number 10 that time. Colton Schniegenberg still on the tail. Emerson Lane still leading here with a normal racing groove for him. Colton Schniegenberg could have gone by in a couple of corners. He hasn't. If I'm back in 4th or 5th, though, if I'm Cade Wolf or Lawrence Perriman, I'm desperate to start making some moves because, you don't want to start that final lap or that 2 to go signal back in the 4th or 5th spot. It's really hard to win from there. You got to count on a lot of dominoes to fall your way for the drivers in front of you to kind of part the seas, if you will, and let you through.
And now it's going to be a tough task for Jake Manalio as the top 2 sprinting off to their best laps of the race so far, as we saw Lawrence Perriman in the back of the screen passing Cade Wolf for that P4 position. Hopefully not too much more passing for them, as they might start to lose contact with these top three. Emerson Lane getting a really good run up the hill this time.
Yeah, I don't know if Cade Wolf is fading or what. Last time, again, he was slowest of the 5. Here's a little tap from Manalio to Schneegenberg. He's caught back up to him. Colton's still pushing with Emerson Lane, but for Cade Wolf, who looked to be one of the fastest early, maybe a little bit more early race pace than late race pace for the Timmy Tech Comp Kart. But we're going to find out if he can maybe turn on the afterburners, find a little more speed in the last bit of the race when he needs it the most. 40 seconds plus 2 laps to go. Lane leads down to turn 1.
The top three enjoying an advantage over P4 and 5. Still Lane out front of Schneegenberg, and Manalio's attached himself to the back with his personal best lap of the race so far, running quickly to get back to these top three. And Emerson Lane getting some help there from Colton Schneegenberg. Goes a little bit wide in turn 3, and this will bring Lawrence Perriman back into the conversation. Yeah,
just like that, Cade Wolf gets back into it as well. Out of turn 8, up the hill to turn number 9. Colton Schneegenberg just kind of riding there in second. He's pushing the race leader all the way around the circuit right now, learning exactly where the weak points and strengthnesses are when you compare the two cars and drivers on this pit race layout. They'll come this time by to the 2 to go signal. We'll see if Emerson Lane is going to see a challenge early or maybe late. For now, he's feeling the pressure in terms of a shove from behind. He's not seeing it in terms of a nose to the inside through the bus stop.
Schneegenberg wanting to protect from behind. His best avenue of that is going to be pushing Emerson Lane. 2 to go this time by Emerson Lane, already on the defense early. This is going to start to stack the field up on the exit of turn 1. Jake Manalio having a small look to the inside, not going to commit to it. Is there going to be a pass into turn 3? No, single file into and exiting turn 3 as they work towards the horseshoe.
All the way to the low side for Emerson Lane. He saw that 2 to go signal, knew it was go time. Quickly blocked off the first couple of passing zones on the racetrack. Jake Manalio as well as Colton Schneegenberg all had to follow suit. Even Lawrence Perriman did, knowing Cade Wolf was there back in 5th. Down the hill to turn 10. Schneegenberg still leaning on that rear bumper of Emerson Lane. No budging, though. Look at the run for Jake Manolio. He won second. He'll get through and bring Lawrence Perriman by.
And the fighting has exploded. Look at that. Colton Schneegenberg losing 2 spots on the exit of turn 11. And Lawrence Perriman going to the inside, exiting turn 12. Will be side by side into the bus stop. Maybe no. They line up single file. Emerson Lane still with the advantage over the top 5. He'll go immediately defensive. White flag in the air this time by Jake Manalio. Goes even lower, and they clip exiting turn 1 on the entry. Everyone gets through clean, but it is side-by-side action towards turn 3.
Colton Schneegenberg avoids the chaos. He goes back to the lead. Manalio had a nose down low. He goes back to 5th. Cade Wolf trying to get a big-time win here. Away from home turf as they go single file to 5 and 6. More of a hip check there. Manalio giving the elbow to Emerson Lane. He did not like getting the nose chopped off in turn number 1, and will climb the hill for the final time.
Emerson Lane, who led into this last lap, now finds himself into P5. It is Colton Schneegenberg and Cade Wolf, your top 2. Cade giving him a little bump on the entry to turn 10. They will exit side by side into turn 11. Schneegenberg on the defense. Cade Wolf trying to stick it around the outside of him. Not going to get that done. It is side by side into turn 12.
Final time here, coming to the bus stop. Emerson Lane with a crossover. Look at Cade Wolf with a run. Perriman with a run. Nobody able to pull on a line. Colton Schneegenberg has never won a national race before. Down to the stripe, side by side for the win. Colton Schneegenberg is a Stars Championship Series winner here in Pittsburgh.
Taking the advantage of everything at the right time. The chaos exploding with 2 to go, and on the last lap, he is able to find his way onto the top step. And for his first victory, amazing race between the entire top 5 there. Colton Schneegenberg coming away with the win. It was Cade Wolf coming home P2. Lawrence Perriman working his way into P3. Emerson Lane falling to P4. And Jake Manalio rounding out the end of that front group battle in 5th spot. Behind that, Anthony Mazzuccolo coming home P6. It was Danny O'Gara P7, Austin Taylor P8, Bryson Scales P9, and Christopher Lavoie makes up your top 10.
So that wraps it up here for our second race so far of the morning sessions. Colton Schneegenberg over Cade Wolf by the end of it all. Lawrence Perriman gets a phenomenal result there in third. He started, of course, on the pole after a great pre-final, but still a respectable podium here at the Steel City Showdown. Not sure why the number 50 is not showing. Of course, that's Emerson Lane, the round 2 winner. Still a very solid run here today. And then Jake Manolio back there in 5th. Then you go further back down the order. Jake Williamson up 5 from the back of the grid. An unfortunate end for Sterling Mulata. He drops down 7. And DNFs for Liat Simonelik and Benjamin Moyer. They're unable to finish the main. They end 18th and 19th. But from the youngest stars to the wily veterans, it's Master Shifter and Master Rock Shifter getting set to go green when we come back here from Pittsburgh. Set to go green here for Rock Shifter and Rock Master Shifter and KZ Master Shifter. To the lights we go. Evan Batt on the inside. Justin Kelly on the outside for the main event. And we are away with a good start for Justin Kelly. A little bit of contact further back is a terrible start for one of the HMG drivers. But the HMG Maverick factory kart combo of Evan Batt leads us down the hill to turn number 3 with a sea of Marinellos behind him. It is the Vermont Kart Company duo of Justin Kelly and Joe Ruck second and third. And this wily scrap here with Michael Gouache there on the white and black suit in the middle of Bradley Danoff and Tiffany Kelly. They'll climb the hill for the first time. It's a closely packed front 4.
A lot of contact to start off this Master Shifter final as we saw them getting bottled up even more in the horseshoe. And look at this, already a challenge for the lead. Evan Batt under pressure from Justin Kelly and Joe Ruck giving the bumper to Justin Kelly on the exit of that corner. So the top 3 still tightly packed as they race through to complete lap number 1 of this final.
Yeah, they'll hit the curbs through the bus stop here and come down to turn number 1. Evan Batt leading side by side. Joe Ruck gonna get let by Justin Kelly. So Kelly not fighting that at all. Lets his teammate through to keep Evan Batt within distance. And how about it from Mike Rivera on the Rock-powered shifter chassis, the GFC in 4th. Normally a little bit slower than the IME 175s or the FIA level KZs in this class, but he is right there on the edge of the leaders overall.
Yeah, he's had such a strong run all weekend, finished P4 in the pre-final, now giving the pressure to the top 3 here in this final in that slightly underpowered engine, that Rock Power Plant, the subcategory of this Masters Shifter final, but the top 3 still fighting hard as Joe Ruck sets his sights on Evan Batt after being let by Justin Kelly, is going to go to work and try and run down this lead.
Yeah, let's see what Joe Ruck can do this time with some clear racetrack. It'll be about even to Evan Batt. 53 ones for both of them. They were both a little bit quicker than Justin Kelly. He was clocking in at a 53.5. Mike Rivera, 53.7 as he starts to fade backwards. How about it for Michael Gouache, though, and Brad Danoff, 5th and 6th. They're now reeling in the GFC driver, and the midfield is having one heck of a scrap from Tiffany Kelly, and 7th on back to Cody Beck, Frank Runco and company. So that's way back here coming across the hill already. Big battles all the way through the edge of the top 10, and down the inside trying to get through, who is marred back in traffic, none other than Heat 2 winner Matt Machiko aboard the Magic Kart, who has had just nothing but bad luck here today.
Some of the worst luck I've seen after being the quickest driver to start off qualifying. Rolled in through heat number 1, had a great run, and unfortunately drove off in heat number 2, and the luck has just gone downhill from there. A tough break in the pre-final earlier today relegated him to the back of the field. Now trying to work his way up into P11 so far, but a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go, at least as well on the time, as well as how far forward he's got to go. It's 12 minutes still, plus 2 laps, only 3 a lap so far. So a lot of time for Matt Machiko to try and work his way past the field in front. Just up the road from him is the number 2 plate holder from the KZ Masterclass last season, Robert Fige. So he's not far back from the next couple. As looking through, Michael Gouache there back in 6th. He's by himself coming through turn number 10. Here comes the leaders out of 12 and 13. Let's pick up the top 5. Good run forward for Brad Danoff. Last time by, faster than the race leader, Evan Batt. The Vermont Kart Company Marinellos, Evan Batt, Joe Ruck, Justin Kelly, 2-3-5, all faster than the race leader the lap before. That time, though, Evan Batt with an answer on the Hardin Motorsports Group Musgrave Racing Company factory kart.
Evan Batt going quickest of the race so far, 53.0 last time by, but not by that much over the Joe Ruck and Justin Kelly behind. And announcement from race control, we have a jump start for Matt Machiko, a day that could not have possibly gone worse, seeming to drop even farther. That is a tough break for Machiko's. Look at that. Joe Ruck to the inside of Evan Batt, gives him the bumper, gets by, and brings Justin Kelly with him. That is a pass for the lead. New leader, Joe Ruck.
Joe Ruck, I think, caught Evan Batt sleeping. Evan definitely did not expect Joe to be there, and he got so riled up by the pass from Joe Ruck that he gave up the second spot to Justin Kelly. Now, as they head to turn number 3, this year for the Vermont Kart Company team and Master Shifter, well, Joe Ruck's kind of been the flagship guy, but Justin Kelly has been right there, and I feel like this weekend he's as close as he's ever been. Talked to him Friday night after practice, and or Thursday night after move-in before practice. He had done a little bit of testing. Him and his wife Tiffany, getting here earlier on in the week to get to learn this racetrack, said he fell in love with this place, and it's also his first weekend all season moving away from the IAME 175 SSE power plant to a TMKZ power plant under the Carblos Racing Engines banner. And that's a big shift in driving style for everyone that we talked to. That 175 detuned is very bottom end heavy, very torquey. The KZ package, a little more of a linear power band all the way up. So you drive them completely differently, but he looks comfortable right now as he just went faster than his teammate.
Certainly adapting well. Justin Kelly all over the back of Joe Ruck now as they head down towards turn 3. These two have checked out just a little bit over Evan Batt in P3, and the fight heating up between the two teammates for P1 here as they head through the horseshoe. Still Joe Ruck with the advantage over Justin Kelly, but only by about a kart length.
So let's see, can they continue to at least break away before they battle to secure Marinello 1-2. Evan Batt there 8/10 away, had a big bobble again. I think Evan Batt might be having some brake issues, to be honest. He just went way wide in turn number 10 that lap as well. So Evan Batt continues to struggle here on the HMG Motorsports factory kart as Hardin Motorsports Group factory kart through the bus stop. Last time by, he was a half second off his best. This time probably, again, a little bit further off the pace.
It was either a brake issue or simply just missing turn 10 by a few feet or so. The margins in this class tighter than any other as you drive it in with more top-end speed into the corner, less margin for error once you get into the brake zones and making that apex stick. Not able to hit it last time, but he is evened out into that third spot. Still Michael Rivera in that Rock Masters engine right behind him, holding on to P4.
Yeah, what a great run again still for the Rivera Racing Mike Rivera GFC car as Justin Kelly continues to apply some pressure here to Joe Ruck. They are a car length apart, And again, it's just so weird to me, Simon, those puffs of smoke that come from Joe Ruck's motor, the only driver to do it in the field. But obviously, whatever it is, he's fine, still fast. He'll leave to the bus stop.
We had been talking about it briefly yesterday, those puffs of smoke giving us some worries up here in the commentating booth. But look at this, down to the inside, Justin Kelly looking for the move to the inside, not going to commit fully and not making that pass for the lead. And maybe it was if it was a different driver, but maybe not wanting to commit so hard on his teammate into turn one.
Yeah, he definitely gave Joe Ruck a bit of a break there as Ruck slammed the door, but he also was a little bit back to try and make that dive. It would have been sketchy at best. So smart move by Justin Kelly, still with a lot of time to go, and I think at this point he probably feels like he is going to stay faster than Joe Ruck, so no need to overdo it. He's got plenty of laps left to make a clean move for the lead and try to chase his first Stars Championship Series main event win. Behind him, Evan Batt did seem to get things sorted a little bit this lap on the blue and black HMG factory car. He's closed up a little bit now to the top two. If they battle, he should be right back there now as we get to the second half of the main. And here comes Kelly again. This time, he's not going to try it in one, maybe turn three, Simon.
And while these two continue to dice it out, although they're not full-on fighting yet, the pressure is still there, and it's letting Evan Batt close inch by inch closer to the top two. He was a tenth of a second faster than the leaders last time by.
Through turn number 4, 5, 6, now 7 and 8. Up the hill we go. Joe Ruck, Justin Kelly. They can't wait. Justin can't wait too much longer. Evan Batt, whatever problems he may have had, they seem to have sorted now, and a 53.40 last time was a tenth and a quarter better than the two of them. So he's going to continue to chip that gap down, and the man in third will be back on the tail of the two leaders in a few moments if things don't change quickly, whether Joe Ruck picks up the pace or Justin Kelly goes by and drives away through the bus stop. 6 minutes and some change left in this one.
And Evan Batt's fastest lap of the race, 0.4 of a second, 0.6 of a second better than Joe Ruck's last lap. It certainly looks like Justin Kelly and Evan Batt might have a little bit more pace in those karts than Joe Ruck leading this race, but he's done an excellent job to defend so far. But every corner that Justin Kelly waits is another opportunity for Evan Batt to close in on this lead.
Yeah, he's got to pull the trigger, I feel like, really soon, Simon. He looks fast. He's all over him. A little bit is trying to time the run because it's such a rubber band effect with the gearbox cars. Quickly, deep into the corner on the brakes, you close up, you bang down the gears, and then when you put it in the lowest one that you can get into without spinning the wheels or really over-revving it, well, the guy in front of you is doing the same thing, so he kind of rockets back away. It's not so much a momentum game that you can ride right on someone's bumper all the way around the racetrack. So that's what Justin's got to do, adjust his line even, maybe adjust some of his braking and throttle inputs just to, kind of get that launch where coming out of a corner, he's more even with Joe Ruck instead of getting even to him in the center, waiting for Joe to put the power down and being about a car length late.
And we just saw a perfect example of that in turn 3. Justin Kelly launching it hard down into the corner, closing up on the back of Joe Ruck, and then Joe Ruck firing away off the corner. Evan Batt closed up to Justin Kelly exiting turn 1, but now Justin Kelly back onto Joe Ruck's rear bumper, the top 3. Pretty nose to tail. It's about as close as you could expect from this class. Them racing this closely, especially this early into the race. I mean, we're just past the halfway point, but still a decent amount of racing left to do. 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. It is still Joe Ruck holding the lead.
Yeah, Joe Ruck now under fire. Look at this. Is it going to be a change? Crossover move on the teammates. He gets back around Justin Kelly. Evan Batt now pulls up to go to war as we are now 1, 2, 3, a car length to 2 apart coming out of the third corner. Joe Ruck playing this one smart. He might not be the fastest. That was a very good tactical move.
Absolutely. Justin Kelly seizing the opportunity to dive into turn 1, but Joe Ruck holding back on the entry to get the better launch off of the corner, retains that top spot as they work down the hill through turn number 10. Justin Kelly again all over that rear bumper of Joe Ruck, and Evan Batt just lurking in the background in P3, watching these two teammates fight.
Through turns 11, 12, now 13. Justin Kelly resets here. He's tried one time in turn 1, didn't go deep enough. That time, too deep. What does he do this time with another big run to Joe Ruck's rear bumper? Does he try it? He'll pull out again to the inside. It's not deep enough that time by as he continues to adjust. But now, Evan Batt is right there looking, not able to get a nose down in 3. Kelly covers it off.
And Kelly getting an excellent launch out of turn 3. Still trying to time that move into turn 1. That time committed halfway into the corner. Joe Ruck giving him a little bit of space on the inside. Not crashing each other, but not giving each other very much space either. As they work down the hill through turn number 10. Still Joe Ruck leads these two. I have to say, it looks like he's the slower of the 3 in the top group, but he's holding on to this lead excellently, playing a strategic race here as they round turn number 12.
Coming out of 12 and 13, Justin Kelly pulls back close again. Car length back from Joe Ruck to the bus stop. Here they come out of 16 onto the front stretch with now only 2 minutes and a little plus remaining through 1. Kelly was further back that time than he'd been in a couple of laps to Joe. He rolled some good speed through it, but still just can't get close enough to dive him into turn number 3. And even so, Joe can easily go narrow there with the extra runoff, with the Rhino, and with the gearbox to defend that pass.
And Joe Ruck's held this lead without defending very much either. He hasn't had to cover off any moves as we get down into the later stages of this race, the last couple of laps here. If we see him go defensive, will that prevent the attacks even more, or will that open up an opportunity for Justin Kelly to make a move?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question as well, right? What can Evan Batt do if Joe Ruck starts to defend? Can you force him into a mistake by having him go to the dirty side of the racetrack? We've talked about it all day. It started off pretty nasty with a wet surface, and as it's dried off, it's mainly been getting dried off on the racing line. The heat's helped kind of lighten everything up, but it's still very dirty down when you go to the inside to pass someone or to the outside when you get past. So if you can force a guy to go off the normal line and cover off the inside, well, his tires are not going to be ideal. And right there we're seeing it. Ruck really cover the low side into 5.
Now Bott starting to fall a little bit off of the top 2, but Justin Kelly not letting up any of the pressure. He's kept Joe Ruck on his toes all race. This must be a grueling, excruciating experience for Joe Ruck. Already one of the hardest classes out here physically on the body. These older drivers working hard to get through, and Joe Ruck feeling the pressure all race. It's always harder to defend than it is to attack here, Xander.
Yeah, no question about it here for Joe Ruck. Let's see how good a defense he can do through turn number 1. As the field comes down the front stretch here, they pulled back away from Evan Batt. Good lap for both the Marinellos that time. I think Justin Kelly's close enough. He could maybe dive him here into 3. Is he? No. Ruck still narrow there, holds him off, and Justin Kelly not close enough to do much here into turn at number 5. 25 seconds to go, and we're getting reports here as the sun starts to kind of fade back in the distance. Rain potentially looming. The wet weather may not be done here on Sunday, and that could throw a major wrench into the classes to come as we're still only on group number 3 in the lineup.
Yeah, that certainly could play a factor here late in the day, give us some exciting races to close off the Steel City Showdown. Still in this Master Shifter race, it is Joe Ruck putting on an insanely impressive display of defense, one of the greatest defenses I've seen, given how much faster Justin Kelly looks, and Justin Kelly looking to the inside, not going to commit there. We are 2 laps to go here, Xander.
2 to go in Master Shifter, down to turn number 3. Joe Ruck just trying to hang on. He's not been the fastest, but he's not been overly slow either. Still within a 10th best time-wise of Evan Batt on a 53 flat. And overall, he's been a very consistent, pace lap to lap over the course of this 18, going to be 19 lap in total main event. He's just got to hang on for another lap and a quarter. The question is, how desperate is Justin Kelly to get a main event win? Even with his teammate in front of him, it would be main event win number 1, and I believe Justin Kelly's first National Master Shifter Kart win to date. So as they come out of 13 with Joe Ruck, a multi-time winner, a former Stars champion, the reigning champion in Master Shifter, already got a win earlier this year and already won a King of the Castle. So for Joe Ruck to win another one, he may want to fight hard, but he knows that Justin Kelly wants to fight even harder. Final lap to 3.
I don't think we've seen the end of Justin Kelly making moves here in this race. I'm sure we'll see at least one more attempted pass as the top 3 start to narrow up through the horseshoe. Justin Kelly, again, all over that rear bumper. It was white flag that time by, and big contact up the hill there, Xander.
Yeah, that got awkward there, and now Evan Batt goes to the inside in turn 10. Kelly hangs on the outside. It's getting dicey here for the lead and the win. Couple of hairpins to go. Joe Ruck gets away as Kelly stumbles coming out of 11. Evan Batt on the outside, way wide, nearly gets into the grass. Evan Batt hangs on for third, but Joe Ruck survives the onslaught. The pressure from start to finish, he doesn't waver. Ruck is victorious in Pittsburgh.
Well driven there from Joe Ruck, holding off Justin Kelly all race. Not a lap went by that there wasn't pressure from behind. Like I said, just impressive display of defense. He held on even without the fastest kart, managed to get it done, that number 1 plate, showing why he is the reigning series champion. Getting it done here in the Master Shifter Final. Justin Kelly coming home P2. Evan Batt running close all race, even fighting there at the end for the one of the top steps. Comes home third, and Michael Rivera holding on nicely for fourth there. Your top driver in the Rock Master subcategory here in the Master Shifter Final. Behind that, it was Brad Danoff rounding out your top 5. Michael Gouache in P6. Matt Machiko recovering to P7. We'll have to see with the jump start penalty where that puts him, but making up 6 places. Not the weekend he wanted, but at least something to recover out of that final, as we see Robert Fiege, the number 2 plate, coming home P8. Cody Beck P9. And Frank Runco rounded out your top 10. Just behind that, Ryan Frank came home P11, Tiffany Kelly P12, and Hugh Templeman rounded out your field in P13 here, Xander.
Well, as you see on screen here, it's not all blue skies around Pitt Race, so there's more to come from the Steel City Showdown. The engines are coming to life for your KA Juniors. Let's get set to go through what is a 40-driver starting lineup that may or may not have some extra implications here. You can see that's what the landscape around the facility here looks like. And again, just small bits that look to be maybe moving by us. But, man, are they close, Simon, here based on the radar.
I mean, the rain's not far off. I'm looking on the radar here now, and it is so close. You can see in the distance when you look off, you can see the rain coming down around this track. It hasn't struck here yet, but it may well hit before the day is over. The engines are fired, and the KA Juniors rolling out on track.
Let's see it here, and let's go through our starting lineup for KA 100 Junior. 40 drivers exactly on the entry list, and a slew of penalties in the pre-final. In fact, over 10 drivers received some kind of penalty in the pre-final that was wet and really shook up the field. On the pole, it'll be the MPG Motorsports Red and White Kart Republic of Austin Olds, who was able to win the pre-final over the 896 Cosmic of Jackson Wolney. Row number 2 has Jamie McMurray's son, third-generation racer in Carter McMurray in the Timmy Tech Comp Kart. Alongside him, it'll be John Antonino Jr., another multi-generation racer on the Tesoro Raceworks Black and Orange CRG. When you talk about multi-generation racers, you can't forget Isaac Malka, Little Sizzle, grandson of one of the Midwestern's best short-track late model racers. He rolls off in 5th. Landon Boer on the MPG Red and White Kart Republic rolls off P6. Then to round off your top 10, it'll be Cole Wilson on that blue and white Kart Republic. Alongside him in row 4, Mason Walters, Roman McCurdy, and Jackson Deal complete another couple of MPG Kart Republics to round off the top 10. But it is their teammate, Austin Olds, that's the best of the red and white brigade. He'll lead them to green alongside Jackson Wolney's purple, white, and pink Cosmic. It is 40 total drivers, the first of only 2 classes that'll be this big, going down to this 120-degree turn number 1, a hard braking zone at full speed. They're going to slow them into the start box, but from this point on, it's anyone's guess. We're green down to turn 1. Look at CJ Bowman there on the gold helmet, diving down 3 wide to the inside, and somehow, oh no, big crash there at the back. It is 5, 6, 7 cars collected at the outside of turn number 1. A number of ones involved, and it looks like they're going to check out the drivers, make sure everybody is okay. That one was a little bit wild. Back up front here as the field heads out of turn number 7 and 8 and up the hill. Carter McMurray gets away with the lead through turn number 9.
The driver starting in P3, working his way to the front very early here, just ahead of Austin Olds and Isaac Malkwood as they come down the hill. Malkwood coming to the outside of Austin Olds as they enter turn 11. He will remain in 3rd place, still nose to tail throughout the top 10. Jackson Wolney getting passed down the inside there as you see Austin Olds creeping up on that rear bumper of Carter McMurray. Those two with a 2-car length advantage over Isaac Malquid. That is your top 3 as they cross the line for the first time. 1 lap complete here in the final. Many more to come as we will get the timer started for this race.
Yeah, just getting underway right here for KA100 Jr. Another battle for the lead. Carter McMurray goes through on Austin Olds goes through on Carter McMurray. Isaac Malka gets shuffled wide there on the red and black Gillard. And going through on everybody. How about it from Mason Walters? What a run there on the BJR MDR Kart. He gets through on all of them to second. McMurray to third. Malka fourth. Jackson Wolney in fifth. But look at the group behind him. They are slammed through turn number 10. And around the outside, that was a good run. We got problems for Cole Wilson slowing on the inside of turn number 11. In the blue and white Kart Republic. He goes to the high side. And to the inside of him, Roman McCurdy there on the white helmet in the MPG Kart Republic. And in the middle, there the black and orange Tesoro Raceworks CRG of John Antonino. But up front, here is 5th and 6th. That is a great run for, I believe, Landon Boer into the 5th spot, maybe turn 1, trying to get by. He does on Jackson Wolney, so nicely done. If indeed that's Landon Boer, I'll make sure that we got that one right. I know we've got Caleb Tarter right there in the mix, and both of them with the blue suits and blue helmets on the red and white MPG Kart Republics, but I believe it may have been Landon Boer going by to position number 5.
Yeah, lots of fighting throughout the back half of the top 10 here. On your screen, John Antonino closing up on the driver in front. Out front, it started to spread out just a little bit with some gaps being established inside the top 5 as we work farther back. Austin Old somehow got out to an advantage. Not sure how he got there, but he enjoys a couple kart links over the drivers in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. As we watch the fighting through turns 11 and 12, John Antonino losing a position to one of the MPG karts as we see the leaders come through the bus stop.
Carter McMurray pushing Mason Walters as things have finally settled and sorted a little bit here, Simon, and we can take a breath. It's Austin Olds out front. 57.4, 57.3 for the BJR MDR LN kart. That blue, white, and yellow machine of Mason Walters leads over the fluorescent yellow comp kart of Carter McMurray for Team Timmy Tech. And then back behind him, that red and black Gillard is Isaac Melkett, and it's a big, healthy gap to Landon Boer. 1.4 seconds last time by from 4th to 5th as they climb the hill.
And as they climb the hill, Austin Old still with that advantage, but 2nd, 3rd, and 4th have grouped up, and if they start to work together, they were faster than the leader last time by about a couple of tenths. Isaac Malquit back in the end of the frame there in the black cart. He has the fastest lap of the race so far by 0.2 of a second, so he is going to work together to close on to Carter McMurray and Mason Walters and hopefully chase down Austin Olds. Austin with about 0.8 of a second advantage, but with the draft in play here, I'm sure that will close in the coming laps.
Yeah, let's see if it gets any bit closer. That time by was a 0.3 gain, nearly 4, and now they're well in the toe of Olds, so it's down to 2 car lengths. Austin Olds far from safe now as the field heads through the infield to turns 5 and 6 here. Mason Walters still trying to get there to get to the point. We'll see what he does when he arrives, but it's definitely not a question of if, just a matter of time. All 4 drivers in that lead pack fitting into frame now as they head over the hill and down to turn number 10.
And as they come into turn number 10, Carter McMurray all over the rear bumper of Mason Walters. They are catching Austin Olds corner by corner. Only a couple of kart links separate 2nd and 1st right now. It's a top 4 breakaway. Just behind that, it's Landon Boer and Jackson Deal heading up the rest of the field as the fight still breaks on for the remaining spots inside the top 10. The top 4 starting to check out, though.
Here is a look at 5th and 6th on the racetrack. That's Landon Boer and Jackson Deal, a pair of red and white MPG Motorsports Kart Republics through turn number 1. They trail the leaders right now by about 2.5 seconds, but they were basically matching them time for time that time. Maybe a little bit slower than their teammate Austin Olds, but they should get there because I think Austin Olds is going to have a lot of pressure and a lot of shuffling in that top 4 here sooner rather than later. Mason Walters is now within a car length as they climb through 9 and drop down through the hairpin. Here comes Walters, McMurray, and Melkett, all 4 in the top 4. Single file here, about 6 minutes in, 9.5 plus 2 laps to go. Still a long ways left in this one. And while they've gotten single file to the rest of the top 10, they're still needing some passing up front because these four are setting some blistering time, Simon.
Well, if history is anything to go by, the rest of this weekend has showed that these drivers in KA Junior not content to sit there and work together. And we see Austin Olds already down on the bottom line, defending into turn 1. Mason Walters is going to follow him. Carter McMurray sets up high, and look at Mason Walters trying to look the inside of Olds. Not going to get it done there. They'll head down to turn 3. And defensive early, that could bring the rest of the pack into this fight.
That'll very quickly bring them up. Here we go into 5. Olds all the way low. So is Walters, so is McMurray. It's a block fest here early in this one as Olds knew they were going to get up to him. Now, again, wanting to hold the lead, but the more he does that, the more you can sometimes frustrate your competitors, and they may kind of get a little bit more argy-bargy with you. But even more than that, Simon, it's kind of like a game of poker at this point when it comes to the battles on the final lap. You don't want to show your hand. When you defend for 5, 6, 7 laps in a row, you're giving these guys behind you more and more chances to set you up and say, okay, he brakes at this point, he gets on the gas at this point, I just need to brake at this marker and get gas at this marker to over-under him or to send it around the outside. So the more Austin Olds defends like he was a moment ago, the more these guys get practice for that last lap battle.
Absolutely, and that's going to come into play later in this race. I'm sure it's going to be a draft pack to the end. These classes so good at producing excellent racing. This KA Junior, one of my favorite categories to watch throughout the entire weekend. Mason Walters closing up on Austin Olds. Austin Olds showed a bit of a fade defense there into turn 1, not committing fully, but not wanting to let anybody by either.
No, at least now that they've caught up to him here, they've kind of stabilized speed-wise, and they've realized Austin isn't that much slower than them once they've arrived on the scene. He's being the first one to kind of clean the racetrack off from the back of the field. Then he kind of offs or slides or spins that dirties the racetrack up from 30th on back. Austin's the first one to get there, so he is the one paving the way through for everybody else, and they're able to kind of follow in his wake and go a little bit faster and, of course, toe up behind him. But he can only defend for so long. Here comes Walters to the inside, new leader, and new leader again. Carter McMurray, a 2-for-1 crossover into turn number 3.
And Austin Olds going to lose 3 spots out of that from 1st to 4th in the matter of 1 corner. He'll go side by side with Isaac Malquit at the exit. Diving to the inside, Austin Olds makes up 1 more spot, but Isaac Malquit crosses him over in the middle of the horseshoe. A rare move to see, but well done from Isaac Malquit to hold on to 3rd spot.
So Olds still 4th here now as they go up the hill to turn number 9. And now with a bigger gap back from the top 2, but the gap back to 5th and 6th, it's coming down slowly but surely. Landon Boer, Jackson Deal, they were at 1.2 to 2.8 seconds back. They're down to 2.2 and closing. And the further back the end of this leading group of 4 gets, the closer they get to that 1 second ever-elusive drafting window. The sun poking its head back out now as it brightens the front straightaway. Carter McMurray flashing that yellow out front. He's got 9 laps in the books, and he's the leader at the end of them right now with 6 minutes to go.
And the top 6 are all 3 groups of 2 right now. This tandem drafting playing into effect, and we even see just farther back behind the MPG carts the rest of the field starting to arrive. Jackson Deal and Landon Boer are getting caught by Jackson Wolney and Roman McCurdy just a bit farther behind. They're about within a half second now, and out front it's still 2 groups of 2, really a little bit wide there for Mason Walters. Mason Walters leading over Carter McMurray as they head through turn 11. The top 4 back into 1 group as Isaac Malquit closes on the rear end of Carter McMurray. They are working through turn number 12, headed towards the bus stop, and again, a group of 4 with Austin Olds trailing after leading just a couple laps ago.
Mason Walters has won both rounds of the championship thus far. He's trying to go 3 in a row. He'll have to fight for it again as he gets run wide and into the dirt a little bit there. Isaac Malkin going through. Good recovery from Walters, but he'll have dirty tires now through turn 3, so he's going to lose a little bit of grip through that corner, and probably the next couple as well. It's now McMurray, Malkit, Olds, and Walters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that second group gets ever closer. They were 2.2 back. They're now 2 seconds back even here. Jackson Deal, Jackson Wolney, Landon Boer, Roman McCurdy, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You can see them now just barely behind the leading quartet.
And MPG's got some help on the way. If they can make it up to this top group, we could smash it into a group of 8 fighting for the front, maybe even 9 with John Antonino on your screen there, catching the group in front of him. The second group filled with some MPG carts as well as some OTK machines as they work through the bus stop. There's Jackson Molney on your screen, and they are running down the leaders now. It is Isaac Malkuit, who looked like he was out front of that field working through towards turn number 3, indeed, and Austin Olds back to the inside. He'll make a diving move into turn 3, regain this lead, and that moves Carter McMurray back to third as he looks for a move on the inside of Malkuit, but ultimately resigns his spot.
Mason Walters still at the back of the train, but like you said, more on the way. Don't forget Jackson Wolney back in that 6th spot. He was your off-pole kid. We know that Cosmic has some speed, and so as he's clawing his way back forward, he's now arrived on the scene of Landon Boer to crack the top 5. But for Austin Olds, he can feel the pressure of Isaac Malkit, went a little low into 11, now can open up normally for 12 and 13, and Malkit's got to deal with McMurray. But again, more and more battling. It's not only 1.6 seconds back to Landon Boer. This time to the bus stop. Malkit's going to get a big run. He'll close up to the bumper of Austin Olds, and he'll look low. Olds will cover it off as he heard him coming into turn number 1. McMurray tries that crossover, but now he opened himself up for Mason Walters to slip down the inside to go to third.
And all this fighting and battling up front, just bringing the next group closer. Austin Olds still leading. Carter McMurray trying to cross up the exit on Mason Walters. And just a cart length behind now is Landon Boer in that MPG Motorsports machine with Jackson Wolney in tow. We have now a 6-cart battle for the lead.
Yeah, look at that. Austin Olds, the Pied Piper. Jackson Wolney right there on Landon Boer. Boer's first ever junior race, and it is going to be a deep dive into the end of the pool as Isaac Malkit retakes the lead in turn number 10. Here comes Walters with a crossover. He'll get all the way alongside Malkit for the lead. That was impressive as Malkit defended in the hairpin, but he'll end up probably around the same. McMurray's got to run on the inside with a push from Boer, but he has to back out of it to the bus stop as they get single file. And now down to turn 1. 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Malkit now the leader.
And Malkit works his way through turn 1s with Austin Olds in tow. Mason Walters just behind. Are we going to see a move into turn 3 this time? The group, yes, we will. Austin Olds down to the inside. Mason Walters going to try and follow him. Not quite going to get that one done. And he's immediately going to go defensive as we see a couple of moves there. Carter McMurray going to the inside and Jackson Wolney taking advantage, trying to slot his way through this group.
Yeah, Wolney gets around Boer that time. And now Boer falls all the way behind his teammate in Jackson Deal. His other teammate, Roman McCurdy. He's got a lot of them around him. McCurdy goes through. Here comes Antonino. The next pack is led by Caleb Tarter. He's got 2 more with him as well. 10th, 11th, and 12th is John Antonino Jr. Look at that. A broken front NASA panel. The front mounting hardware failing on the CRG. So he's trying to drive and pull that nose cone back in front of his toes so it doesn't take him off the pedals. John Antonino trying to hang on as we go to 1.5 minutes plus 2 to go. It's a long line of cars that goes all the way back to about 13th with Austin Olds back at the front through 3.
With as long as these finals are, we didn't really have the space in the pre-finals or the heat races to show you when it groups back up because they would get spaced out and it would finish that way. With a long enough race, they all group back up, and now we've got a massive group at the front. Not much space separating any of these karts as we get a good look up the hill and headed down towards turn 10. Still Austin Olds with about a cart length over John Antonino and Carter McMurray in tow.
So Austin Olds, the biggest gap in a couple of laps we've seen out of the lead pack here this time. Here's all the way to the back of the group there, but second and third, Isaac Malkit faded back a little bit that lap. McMurray going to give him a big shove down the run to the bus stop and onto the front stretch. It is now basically 3 laps to go. Austin Olds trying to hang on, and a long line of drivers wanting to get around him here as they go through 1. That gap down to a car length as they head over to 3. What does McMurray do? On the bumper of Malkit, he pushes him all the way up to Olds' bumper, stays single file, into 5. Can Isaac get there? He obviously convinced Olds that he was going to be able to get there, so Austin covers it off, and that'll stack them backwards once again.
They had a slight advantage, the top 3 over the rest of the field by about a few cart lengths, but Austin Olds' defense into turn number 5 there brought the entire field back together. He'll go defensive into turn 10, and now it is stacked up nose to tail. Carter McMurray on that rear bumper of Isaac Malkuit, and it looks like Austin Olds was defensive into turn 11 again. He'll head through turn 12 and drag a line of 5, 6, 7 carts behind him.
Yeah, count them all up and rack them throw them probably into a hat and just draw a name out, and you might get the right winner. Down the front straightaway. 2 to go. Austin Olds defending low. Isaac Melkin all the way by the grass. He'll send it through. They're 2 abreast as they come out of turn number 1. Austin Olds back to the lead. Here comes Mason Walters for second. Melkin way high. All the way to the outside runoff. He goes to third. Antonino back there trying to make some moves as McMurray blocks low from Jackson Wolney. It's back to the lead for Austin Olds. And oh no, big contact in front of the pack. That is a number of cars collected. Caleb Tarter, Landon Boer, John Antonino, Davin Roberts, J.J. O'Neill, all out of the infield.
Oh, no, that was a terrible break there. They got side by side into the horseshoe, and contact on the exit sent multiple cars spinning. As we look, it is now a 5-kart battle for the lead. The rest of the field has disappeared. Just these 5 in contention. They'll be coming back to the white flag this time by it's Austin Olds over Mason Walters. Isaac Malkowit trying to chase his way back up, bringing Jackson Wolney and Carter McMurray with him.
If you're Austin Olds, now you just got to block all the way to the end. White line that thing. Mason Walters trying the high side. He opens the door. Here comes Isaac Malka to the bottom side into turn 3. He'll bring McMurray with him for second. Isaac Malka to the lead into turn 3. Austin Olds back to second. Into the infield in 5. It's Malka on the bottom. Mason Walters sends it high. Olds side by side for the lead. Here comes Mason Walters to second.
And Olds seemingly defended turn 3, but we've seen Malkowit make these diving moves under the defense so often. He's excellent on the brakes, getting that kart stopped as they head down through turn 10. It's Carter McMurray running wide, and they are 3 wide on the exit. Isaac Malkowit with the advantage as they head towards the last couple of corners.
This is going to go all the way to the wire. Isaac Malkut, the young kid, looking for his first win. He's got a big run. This might be enough for the Gillard, the privateer, father-son duo. Isaac Malkut to the bus stop. Final time through. Mason Walters trying to go for a three-peat. He goes wide. Isaac Malkut wins the Steel City Showdown.
And Austin Olds got the most of that, running Mason Walters just a little bit wide. Will beat him to the line by 1/100th of a second. What a finish to this KA Junior final. That awesome pass from Isaac Malkowit to get under Austin Olds' defense, take the lead, and never let it up.
What a finish here. There comes a number of drivers involved in that crash, finishing at the end of it all. The top 10 completely changed from where they were laps ago as Isaac Malkut over Olds, Walters, McMurray 4th, Jackson Wolney rebounds back to 5th there. It's as high as he was able to get there because they started blocking so early. How about the runs from the back of the grid for Max Weiland and Race Beckman? 14 and 16 spots gained apiece to 8th and 10th. Caleb Tarter, my mistake, did make it through the crash in the infield. He ends 7th with a net gain of 4. Roman McCurdy ends a net gain of 3 to 6th. Look at Henry Taylor, nearly dead last, along with Mason Kuhn. 22 spots gained for them, 15 for Alex Miller, 12 for Keelan Torini. As we go through the rest of the top 10, there's Remy Andretos there, first one on the outside in 11th. Sebastian Reist in 12th, 14th for Ben Hernandez, and on to the rest of the field. Here's the back half. Look at all those drivers with a DNF at the end. Jackson Deal, Landon Boer, John Antonino Jr. all with the DNF here at the end of it all. J.J. O'Neill did get back going. He ends up 21st ahead of Will Franklin and Isabella Simpson. Kaylee Countryman picks up 7 to go to 24th. Dead last to 25th for James Stropko, the 4th. And here's a few more DNFs at the end here. A lot unable to finish. C.J. Bowman, Davin Roberts collected in that one. Jeremiah Thomas and Landon Cardwell out earlier, all the way down to the rest of the pack that end up with a long way back into the scale line. It's the least fun ride on the racetrack to ride on the recovery vehicle back on in. Simon, you got some more status updates for us here on the skies?
Yeah, the weather that we saw in the distance just missed us, but there are a couple of spots behind it. I'm not sure if those are going to hit us. It's going to be close. It shouldn't be too much rain if it gets here, but maybe a spot or two. We'll have to keep waiting and see if the raindrops come. But on the grid now are your mini Swift Stars getting ready to take the field for their feature race here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex for the Steel City Showdown.
Don't go anywhere. There's more to come. Lucas Palacio leads the 8 to 12-year-olds back onto the racetrack for the next main event when we return here from Pittsburgh.
Welcome to Ohio Kart Parts, the Midwest's largest Burrell Art racing go-kart dealer. We carry Burrell Art, Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, and Robert Kubica branded go-karts, as well as parts from names you trust. Chassis components from Freeline, engines from Miami, Briggs & Stratton, and soon-to-be Tillotson, electronics from AIM Technologies, MG Tires, Taika Axles, seating from Tillett, Arai Helmets, and 3/10 Race Products. Visit us online at www.ohiokartparts.com, at our facility in Lorain, Ohio, or at the local track on race weekends. If we don't have it, call us at 440-628-KART. That's 5278. And we will do what we can to help you out.
And engines are fired here for the Swift Stars as they start to take to the track for their feature event here at the Steel City Showdown of the Pittsburgh International Race Complex, part of the Stars Championship Series. Engines fired, drivers out on track warming those tires. We'll take you through the 20 kart starting lineup. Making up row 10, the back of the grid, Ben Gleiberman and Anna McCrone will start row 10. In the 18th spot, row 9, Callahan Myers to his inside, Jordan Polcholopik. In row number 8, Cole Vetter and Keith Lewis Jr. Row 7, Jude Thurlmaswamy and Shane Stern. Caleb Tracy and Tyrone Kemper Jr. make up row 6. And inside to the top 10 on the outside of row number 5, it is Holden Harder. On his inside, Gabriel Balog. The quick driver falling all the way back to the 9th position. We'll see what he can work up from there. Moving into row 4 is Darren Kidd and Max McCorum. Inside that, we have row number 3. And that will be Jacob Scheibel and Grady Kronick. Moving up to row number 2 on the outside, Kai Mars. To his inside, Travis Pettit. And on our front row, off pole, Marco Samet. And on your inside pole, the driver who's been dominant all weekend, Lucas Palacios. We get set to take the green flag here.
Yeah, Lucas Palacios been dominant, but not in terms of speed, just by winning all the battles so far. We expect nothing less here from this fully dry main event. Lucas Palacio on the inside on the green and white car. The blue and yellow LN card on the outside is Marco Samet as they go to 1. And we're green through the first corner. Travis Pettit on the blue helmet will quickly slot into second. He's side by side, but he'll have the inside groove to turn number 3. Kai Mars will follow. And here comes as well Grady Kronick. He gets a little bit of a love tap from behind, and he nearly gets turned in front of the field. Grady Kronick was all the way up to 4th for a second, and that blue, white, and red MPG Kart Republic nearly gets turned around in front of the pack. A great save by Grady, but now he falls all the way into the midfield as they climb the hill for the first time. It's a Trinity karting group, Kart Republic, 1, 2, 3, with Palacio, Pettit, and Mars back to then Marco Samet in the 4th spot.
Yeah, Marco Samet having a rough start there on the outside. Starting off pole, was on the outside of that turn 3 contact. While it was the misfortune of Grady, it benefited him as he suffered or avoided suffering, losing more spots on the exit as he was way on the outside, managing to come back across the track and regain that P4 spot. But it is the 2 Trinity karting group machines out front. Lucas Palacio leads Travis Pettit over Kai Mars and Marco Samet in P4.
So with that here, Travis Pettit and Lucas Palacio, drafting partners throughout all of practice, get the biggest opportunity they've seen all weekend to work together. This might be a perfect chance to break away and take away the opportunity for Marco Samet to spoil the battle. He got back around Kai Mars just a moment ago, but they are already a second and a half back from the race leaders. This is bad news again for the Brandon Jarstacrack Racing, Mike Doty Racing Camp, as their leading kid in Marco Samet has no help right now to hunt down the top 2 who are teammates and you would expect would work together here for the next 13 minutes.
Marco Samet, one of the drivers that's been able to hold on to Lucas Palacio all weekend, one of the driving factors in making these races a fight, keeping him from running out to any kind of advantage. We'll see what he can do. With no help, he has to run down 2 teammates out front that are the fastest on track by about 3/10 last time by.
What a run here for Jacob Scheibel, the father-son duo here, one of the many privateers in the paddock, into the top 5 through the chaotic opening couple of turns. And he runs right behind Kai Mars with a nice bit of a gap further back to the next group. It's Tyrone Kemper Jr. who leads the next pack. They're side by side. Look who's trying to get through. It's Gabriel Balog, who again got shuffled way back here off that start, couldn't get through the melee, and the Magic Kart driver in the blue and white car back in the 8th position here as we work lap number 3, trailing Kemper Jr. and the all-black Nitro Kart of Holden Harder. Harder going by there in turn number 5, so we'll see what kind of times they can do, but already separated now by about 4 seconds from the leaders as we work through lap number 3. Here they come out of turn 13 and over to the bus stop. Your leader, Lucas Palacio, with Travis Pettit in tow. A big gap back to Marco Samet. Equal size gap from Samet, maybe even smaller back to Kai Mars and Jacob Scheibel. It's 1.9 now and growing for Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit already.
Yeah, 59.8 last time by for both Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit as they extend their advantage over Marco Samet. Almost out to 2 seconds now. They work through the horseshoe, working together beautifully so far. Pettit not committing to a pass on Palacio, wanting to break away as far from the pack as they can before they fight it out at the end here. Still a lot of time left in this race, just under 12 minutes plus 2 laps and about a 1 minute per lap. That is plenty of time to either fight and bring the rest of the field back or break away and have your own battle at the end.
Well, these guys are fighting definitely back here. How about this battle back? This is 7th and 8th and 9th. Gabriel Balog got around Tyrone Kemper Jr., and now they're fighting behind him. This is Keith Lewis Jr., Max McCarrum, Grady Kronick, who got turned sideways on that opening lap there. That is 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe. Darren Kidd runs behind them. They're trailing Holden Harder here as they come down the front straightaway. And now they'll head to turn number 1 while the leaders are already up to 2.5 seconds and growing. It is Holden Harder there in the all-black car, leads them under pressure from the TKG Kart Republic of Keith Lewis Jr. He'll go by, takes over 8 through turn 3, and at the same time, he goes side by side to a driver that is a former Swift Stars champion and just got his first Stars Championship Series KA Junior win here in his first full season in the junior ranks. Isaac Malka won in one of the most exciting races of the weekend, and let's hear from him, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Xander. Isaac, I mean, what an incredible race from you, and just the entire field is so chaotic. Walk me through how you got it done.
It was really good at the beginning. We just struggled a little bit with the motor, but I just kept on digging and just driving it deeper into the corners and kept keeping up with everybody. It was a really hard race, and I'm just really proud because I get to beat all these older kids, and I'm really young, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, for most of that race, it was about a 12-cart field. I mean, talk about the strategy to put yourself in the right position when it mattered most.
Yeah, I just had to keep on passing, try and stay in the front, and I had to block at certain times because, you know, whenever you're in the middle of that pack, you want to try and not get past so that way you don't lose any positions.
Yeah, I mean, being a privateer, it's just you, your dad, and your sister. How much does this win mean to you?
It means a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, who would you want to thank for this?
My dad, my sister, and my family.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaac. Good job.
Thanks.
A full privateer program for Isaac Malkett, and what a cool experience for the family there to put one over on everyone in KA Junior, and a fierce battle there, a fierce battle here at the edge of the top 10 as well, Simon. It's continued to change spots. Look at Holden Harder, way wide there in turn 11. They're 3 wide now all the way through into turn number 12.
It seemed like they were basically 3 wide through that entire interview. Well done to Isaac Malkett, an extremely impressive drive. Well raced, and a great job to him to take advantage on the last lap. But as we move back to the racing here on track, just outside the top 3, top 4, this is a exciting race through turn 1, and outside into turn number 3, we've got drivers Max McQuarrie, Keith Lewis Jr. on back. Everyone fighting for position. They're going 2 and 3 wide. Most corners around the track here, Xander.
Yeah, they are finally now getting a little bit closer to single file. Grady Kronick at the back of that group, I believe, if not Caleb Tracy. You know, Kronick got away. He's safe. He's running behind Keith Lewis Jr. It's Tracy on the next MPG Motorsports blue, white, and red Kart Republic. He's back at the end of the pack there behind the looks to be one of the maybe energy carts just up the road. That's going to be Darren Kidd. No, that is looking hard to tell. I think that might be one of the Bennick entries actually there coming out of the corner. Indeed, that's a Bennick there on the blue and orange for the 180 of Darren Kidd. You got a shout out of love over the live stream. That's from Laura Mabry watching along, cheering on Darren Kidd there in the 180 machine. He's 13th right now as they head on through to turn number 1. So Holden Harder still leads that pack of 4. A little bit back, couple car lengths away from Tyrone Kemper Jr., who trails from Keith Lewis Jr., then a little gap to Grady Kronick, a little more to Max McCarron, and they're all 10 seconds and more back from the top 6 drivers with Mars, Shaiblay, Balog, Samet, and then Pettit and Palacio here. They've spread apart for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and unfortunately, they're all about a second away, and they're continuing to drive fall backwards because these two, Lucas Palacio, Travis Pettit, on the green and white Trinity Karting Group Kart Republics, they have just been glued together since lap number 2, and they have built up a massive gap.
Yeah, it's been really impressive driving for these two. 59.5s last time by. We'll see what it ticks across. 59.6 this time by. It's extending the lead to just about 5 seconds now. They're 0.6 of a second faster than anyone last time by. Gabriel Balog, the only one seeming to come close to the pace that these top 2 currently have. His best at 59.6, his last at 59.7, but everyone else in the 1 minute range, and no one else has dipped into the 59s besides Balog and the 2 leaders on your screen here, as the teammates continue to check out on the field, working together amazingly before they start the fight at the end of this race.
Let's go side by side here while Pettit and Palacio lead. We've got Alexander Searle continuing to give us more intel from down on pit lane as KA Stars get set to go. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Xander, here with Henry Wheeler. Henry, I mean, double duty for this weekend, but first in the KA Stars class, I mean, what are your confidence levels like for this race, right? Because the pre-final looked to be pretty good pace-wise, but you fell off towards the end. You think you found something for the final?
Yeah, we were up towards the front, started 4th, got a good start, got up to 2nd, held it there, fell back pretty far, and then the red flag happened, and we had a little bit better pace after it, got into 2nd again, and just got beat a little bit at the end, fell back to 4th, and hopefully changes we made should be a little bit faster this time.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think the track's going to be like right now as the temperature's really heated up?
I think it'll be a little bit more grippier than it was in the pre-final, but I don't think it'll change very much. It was already pretty quick in the pre-final. I don't think it'll be any faster, but it's probably going to have a little bit more grip.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
There you hear from Henry Wheeler here, hearing that, again, maybe a little bit of the same, maybe a little bit less for the Mark Steel Motorsports Bureau Art in the first class of 2 he's got coming up, followed by the BJR MDR OTK entry in OKN Stars. That'll be the last class of the day. 5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Palacio and Pettit continue to lead.
And as they round the final bend onto the front straight, working lap number 11 now, just completed 10. These two still in the 59.6s, just outclassing the rest of the field handedly right now, as 1 minute .2 seems to be the pace behind them. They are out now 6 seconds in front of everybody else. These two teammates in the Trinity karting group working well. There's their next competition on track. Gabriel Balog and Marco Salmon working together as well. They've separated themselves over 2 seconds to the drivers behind of Jacob Scheibel, Kai Mars, Max McCorum, and on back. But as we see these two, third and fourth, round the top of the hill, we'd have to go much farther back for the action on track. Everyone's spreading apart just a little bit past the midpoint of this race. 4 minutes plus 2 laps to go here.
Yeah, Kai Mars continues to fade now. He's actually been caught by this group and just got past. How about it for Max McCarrum in the number 146 U-Race Parolin? He takes over the 6th spot just ahead of Kai Mars and Grady Kroenig back there again. It's been an up, down, and sideways main event for Grady, but he's now cracking or knocking on the door of 7th to recover pretty nicely here. He's been working with Max McCarrum to get forward, and now he's right on the tail of that spot, as well as right on the tail of 6th. And up the road a little bit by his lonesome is Jacob Scheibel there in the 121, the last driver inside the top 5. Well, at the same time, we got a battle forming for 3rd. How about it for Gabriel Balog and Marco Samet coming together? 6 seconds back from the leaders, but the two of them have hooked up for P3 and P4, and Balog has gone through. Gabriel Balog in a podium spot now.
Well driven from Gabriel Balog. He has showed the most speed out of anyone else besides the leaders on this track so far, getting past Marco Samet. Marco Samet also has been a contender all weekend, fighting for the wins, fighting with Lucas Palacio, but right now those two have checked out, so it's Balog and Samet, the best of the rest, as they work through the final hairpin. And as you see, the 121 of Jacob Scheibel out clear in P5, 4 seconds ahead of Max McCarrum in P6 and Kai Mars and on back. But these two checking out the Lando Norris kart of Marco Samet heading into turn 3 just behind Gabriel Balog. They'll come out using all the track on exit, running 59.8s last time by, but the leaders at a 59.545 for each of Lucas Palacio and Travis Pettit, out now to 6.5 seconds ahead of these guys, who are 3, maybe 4 seconds ahead of Jacob Scheibel last time by. And here is a battle on track just behind those two groups. This is for the back half of the top 10 as these drivers work through the horseshoe and up on to the top of the hill, headed towards turn 10. They'll come down through. That is the back half of the top 10. They come down the hill through towards turn 11. I see the drivers that Darren Kidd possibly in there as this group starting to mix it up even more heavily. Darren Kidd in that 180 machine as they continue to fight Kai Mars, Grady Kroenig, Keith Lewis Jr., the back half of the top 10, certainly going at it, giving us some action before we get to the closing stages of the race and the battle deciding the victory. Here you see the Trinity Karting Group kart going defensive. That's the 198 of Keith Lewis Jr. in the front of this group now for P9 as they work towards turn 3, coming down. And he has run just a little bit wide. He is under heavy pressure from Keith Lewis Jr. under heavy pressure from the 142 behind of Jude as the drivers go side by side up the hill. Now that's the 105 machine all the way back to Caleb Tracy in P14. So the battle raging on at the back half of the top 10.
Yeah, they come out of turn number 10 here this time. There's a look at that whole group. But with a minute plus 2 laps to go, it's going to break out at any point, and we know it's going to be a duo and a duel at that moment here. At the same time, it'll be the same for 3rd. Marco Samet, you just saw update on the screen, go back by Gabriel Balog. So he moves up, kind of two-way battles for both the top spot of the podium and the last spot of the podium as the field heads through the infield section here. Palacio versus Pettit climbing the hill up to turn number 9, and then they'll pop that curb, head over to the crest at turn number 10. This time by, it'll be borderline whether we get the 2 to go signal as we got the timer continuing to tick on downward. And those dark skies look like they've moved now from the south side of the racetrack to the north side behind turn number 3. Problems here further back. That's the 180 of Darren Kidd. Looks like the Bennick got tagged in something there in that group that was getting bigger and bigger by the lap from 9th of Keith Lewis Jr. all the way down to 16th of Shane Stern. Not sure what the status was on the Darren Kidd machine, but as we go down across the line, no 2 to go. That was 3. They just made it in before the timer hit 0. Palacio leads them into 3.
Just by about a few seconds crossing the line, giving him that extra lap. Probably due to their speed throughout the race. Maybe if they had been running everyone else's pace, it would be 2 to go that time. But Palacio and Pettit well checked out to 7.7 seconds ahead of their nearest competition of Marco Samet and Gabriel Balag as those two work together and are in no man's land basically with no one in sight. As we see the leaders come down the hill, Lucas Palacio has been so dominant this season. 2023 has been his year. He's won just about every feature race we've watched. Now he's got a teammate in tow, and they are going to fight it out over these next coming laps, rounding turn 12, headed towards the bus stop, and it will be 2 to go this time by.
2 to go for the duo. They've got 8 seconds. They can dance as much as they want, and Palacio knows that Pettit's there. For now, he'll just go fading to about maybe a car length off the line to the inside in turn number 1 for Travis. When does he want to try and set up Lucas here? The moment, again, like we mentioned in KA Jr., the more he can start to force Lucas to defend, he can kind of set up for that move. Or, again, if he goes early, he can start defending himself. But for now, for Travis, as he's still looking to get that first career national win, he's been so close so many times, and now trying to take away a win from the kid that has won the most in 2023, his teammate in Lucas Palacio as they exit turn 10.
And coming through to turn 11, the looming dark clouds in the distance. There's about a cart length separating these two leaders. Travis Pettit just falling off the back of Lucas Palacio barely as they work through turn 12s. Coming this time to the white flag through the bus stop goes Palacio back onto the front straight. Pettit trying to leverage all the draft he can. White flag in the air this time by Palacio. Defensive late on the front straight. Pettit going to set it up wide, try to cross him up on exit. He'll get to that rear bumper as they head towards turn 3.
Wasn't close enough to really do much there. Down to the low side again for Lucas. Pettit will get a good run, but he's just going almost a little too wide, or maybe getting on the power late or what, because he can't get there in time. Through the curbs at 6, 7, and now turn number 8. Will go up the hill. Half a lap to go for Lucas Palacio. Can he pull off another one? He's just got to low line it from here and hope that Pettit can't cross him over. Down the hill in turn number 10. Over to turn number 11. Lucas checks him back. Looks, says Pettit goes high. Crossover out of that corner. Not close enough. Final time to turn number 12. Palacio low, goes wide. Pettit tries to pull up. He's got a big run on him. Can he do anything with it? He fades low, has to go high as Palacio covers the bus stop and through the bus stop. Chicane to the front straightaway. He'll come out of line here, but Lucas Palacio wins in the Pittsburgh Steel City Showdown. Here comes the battle for third as well. Check this out. Gabriel Balag, Marco Samet coming through the bus stop. This is the fight for third. Balag wins out on that one. Back behind him, Scheible gets fifth. Here comes Grady Kroenig. A great recovery to sixth. A pump of the fist from Jacob Scheible. Max Mokaram ends in seventh. Here's eighth to Kai Mars, who had a great start, got as high as third, fades down to the end of the top 10. Side by side back for ninth. Give that one to Ben Gleberman on the Nitro card over Caleb Tracy. They both end up ahead of Keith Lewis Jr. at the end, and the last bit of your field continue to come on through. Callahan Myers here, side by side at the line with Cole Vetter. Vetter going to win out on that one. That's for 17th, and the final one across, Jordan Pulchlopik, as the problems for Anna McCrone from earlier, and as the only driver with a DNF here in this main event. So again, back through your top 10 all the way. Palacio and Pettit on top by 11 plus seconds. The Balag, Samet, Scheible, Kroenig, McCara, Mars, Gleberman, and Tracy, your top 10. 11 spots gained for Ben Gleberman, 6 gained from 9th for Gabriel Balog. Then it's Keith Lewis Jr., Jude Thoroma Malay Swarmy in 12th, Tyrone Kemper Jr. 13th, Shane Stern 14th, Holden Harder, Darren Kidd, Cole Vetter, Callahan Myers, Jordan Pulchlopik, Anna McCrone, the 20 drivers ending out in Swift Stars. KA Stars are next. It's 3 back-to-back senior categories ending off with our 2 headline divisions, but this one, 50 plus entered, 40 have made it to the main event. It's coming your way next up here for the Steel City Showdown.
Be ready with your trash bags in case it starts dumping.
On to the racetrack we go for KA Stars. A healthy lineup here as we get set to lead them off. Going back from the lead, let's start it off with our pole man. How about it for Race Liberante, a Pittsburgh resident for the last handful of years, in the process of relocating to Indiana, but this probably still feels much like a homestand here. And in his return to the seat, Chase Jones and Braden Eves joking with him that if he's a little bit too washed up this weekend, they're going to park him again. But right now, I wouldn't say too washed. Pole position for the main event after winning the pre-final alongside James Overbeck. We go back to row number 2, and we've got Oliver Hodgson and Henry Wheeler, Cooper O'Clair and Mick Gabriel in row 3, Lucas Zabo, Emerson Reed, Brandon Adkins, Lucas Smolik, the top 10. Through the bus stop, we get set to go green. KA Stars getting set to roll. 40 drivers strong in the main event, and for the first time for the full field of 40, the top half get to go at each other. For Liberante on the inside on the red and white car, the green and white car of James Overbeck on the outside. We're on the power, and we're green down to turn number 1.
And through turn number 1, side by side, Liberante holding that lead over Oliver Hodgson. I thought he was going to stick the move down the inside. He almost had a lane there, not able to make the most of that, though, as they go 2 and 3 wide through turn 3. Everyone clean so far. A bit of defense down into the horseshoe. Still Liberante over Hodgson for P1 and 2.
Cooper O'Clair gets up into 3rd to make a Comp Kart J3 competition 2-3 there as they go up the hill to turn number 9 and down to turn number 10. Little bit of chaos, I think, in the infield section on the opening lap further back, but the leaders are clean and green and away as Liberante takes him out of 11. It's O'Clair back to Henry Wheeler on the Mark Steel Motorsports red and white Bureau Art. Here's a look as a couple of drivers are together over in the infield. 2 specifically, Jared Dunkovich is involved. One of the BJR LN karts is involved, as well as the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic. That's the 951 machine, who will get a number on you here, or an ID in a moment. Oliver Hodgson, though, on the bumper of Race Liberante, looking for the lead, maybe. Not going to happen yet. There will be a pass for 3rd, though. Henry Wheeler and James Overbeck go by on Cooper O'Clair. It was Carter Thompson, by the way, that was off there, and the 3 drivers collected in turn number 8. Oh, and another one off. Lucas Zabo is off. That's a driver from 6th. Zabo goes wide in turn number 5. So we're dropping another one as Liberante leads.
Unfortunate for Zabo, he's not all the way out of the race, but a strong run. He's been fast all weekend, so another tough break for one of our front contenders as we see Oliver Hodgson all over the back of Race Liberante looking to find a way through. Not able to do so yet, but those two have about a kart length lead over Henry Wheeler now in 3rd.
Here they go to the bus stop chicane. Oliver Hodgson happy to push here. Liberante trusting him for now. He's not defending at all as they fly by here on the front straightaway. Henry Wheeler and James Overbeck with a good lap, though. They were 2/10 better than the race leaders. Hodgson notices. He's setting up. Here it is, down to the inside. Oliver Hodgson takes over the point. Liberante, a little quick crossover, but he stays back in line as Hodgson covers it back off into turn number 5. So the Brit now leads over Race Liberante, the California native, up the hill to turn number through 8 through 9. And Henry Wheeler, James Overbeck into frame there in third and fourth. Not far back to find Cooper Auclair. And what a start for Brandon Adkins on the Adkins speed number 907 Tony Kart. He's sixth at the moment there, the black suit and the green helmet as they go for 12.
As we work through turns 12, Henry Wheeler inching closer to the back of Race Liberante, bringing James Overbeck with him. The top four now in a pretty close line. Only a couple of kart lengths separate them. And then on back into P5, they are catching as well. The fastest time on track, James Overbeck, last time by 56.6, a tenth of a second better than your leader.
Here we go as they head through turn number 3. Still single file up at the front. A little bit of a gap back from fourth to fifth still, but it's coming down. Great lap from Overbeck. He goes purple, but not far off was Cooper Auclair, 56.69 to the leaders at a 7 and an 8 as they passed the lap before. So that backed the field up. It's given them the tow. And as they go over down through turn number 10, Oliver Hodgson still at the point right now here early in the going for this KA Stars main event. The rest of the field line behind them. That pack goes back to Spencer Conrad in the 9th spot. Emery Lida has cracked the top 10. He's about a second away there in 10th. Then Mick Gabriel in the mix along with Mason Surgener, all trying to close back up to the top 2, who have hooked up for this lap to put a really good one together. How about a 56.4 out of your top 3?
But it was Henry Wheeler, fastest on track, also with a 56.4, just a few hundreds quicker than your leaders who are hooked up and working together. So even as they sit, third, fourth, fifth is going to be closing onto the leaders. Race Liberante not letting Hodgson get away, but Hodgson getting run down by Henry Wheeler there in third. You can see James Overbeck starting to make gains as well.
Yeah, Henry Wheeler really starting to roll on the Mark Steel Motorsports red and white Beryl as they head down to turn number 10. It is Liberante only out in front of him by a car length. And even though Race is playing a conservative way right now, just pushing Oliver Hodgson, letting him be the first one to every corner and to set the bar, they are not necessarily breaking away from the field. They are at least keeping the pack down in size because that second group led by Cooper Auclair was closing for a moment. It's a little bit further back now to them. Mason Surgener just got around Brandon Adkins, move him up to 6th as they head on through.
And you have to go all the way back to 10th place, the man who has had no luck to start the day, Anthony Rivera, climbing his way up into 10th now, 56.2 last time by 0.6 of a second quicker than the drivers around him, but even quicker than the leaders by a tenth of a second. So fastest man on track down in 10th spot, the hometown hero, Anthony Rivera.
Yeah, here they go up the hill to 10 again. Liberante checks the margin back, sees if they're making any headway on the rest of the field, and this time they really are. Wheeler, with a mistake this lap, has faded backwards, so we're still not yet to halfway. A lot of time to go. Let's take a look again, as you mentioned, Anthony Rivera cracking into the top 10. That second group still pretty dicey, led by Cooper Auclair from 5th on back. And Rivera's now gone around both Spencer Conrad and Brandon Adkins. So move the hometown kid up to 8th as they come down the front stretch. Next up in line, a little bit of a gap to Mick Gabriel, but he's only 3.9 seconds back from the lead. He holds the fastest lap of the race. We know that Energy has a lot of speed left in it, but he left the door nearly open for Conrad to go through in 3.
I don't think he thinks Conrad is going to go through. I think they both know that Anthony Rivera is one of the fastest karts on track, is technically the fastest kart on track so far this race. So they're going to want to use him to get up towards the field in front of them. As you caught the back end of James Overbeck sitting there in P4 coming down the hill. It is still Oliver Hodgson over Race Liberante. They are cracking off 56.2s, a good bit quicker than Henry Wheeler in third last time by.
Here we are coming down out of turn number 13. You can see Overbeck again closing up to Wheeler. Wheeler tapped his helmet saying, please work with me. I think we can get back there, but I'm not sure if James Overbeck's going to oblige. He's got a big run on him coming down the front stretch. I think for now, not close enough to make a move. Let's see at turn number 3. James Overbeck just hit his best lap of the session, 56.33. Sets him up high, dives low. James Overbeck on the BJR MDR Tony Kart to third over to turn number 5.
And only a few kart links back from the leaders. Overbeck going to try and use Henry Wheeler to push him back towards Race Liberante. Liberante still hanging off the back of Hodgson, has not made a move back to regain the lead as of yet, content to sit there and work with them, try and press their advantage as we are at just about the midway point of this race. Still a lot of racing left to go, just under 8 minutes plus 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, through go the top 4. You can see Cooper Auclair is kind of by his lonesome there in the 5th spot, running some pretty decent times. I mean, Auclair was, you know, about a 2/10 gap off the top 2, but by himself, that was impressive. As they go through turn number 1, that time for Hodgson and Liberante, 56.3s, a 56.2 for Overbeck, and then slower all the way down except for Anthony Rivera. He picked up another good time. That was a 56.28. Second fastest on the racetrack last time by, only 100th off of James Overbeck. So the race and day far from done for Anthony Rivera here, while your leader, Oliver Hodgson, continues to show the way with Liberante in tow and James Overbeck trying to track him down. Let's go down to pit lane as Pro Stars get set to go green. And not only was Vincenzo Saraceno plagued with issues, his Vermont Kart Company teammate aboard the Maranello, Josh Conker, was in the pre-final as well. He's got his work cut out for him. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Xander. I mean, you say he has his work cut out for him, but actually, Josh, I mean, you want to tell them why you're not racing?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we can't make the KZ final today. After my off-track excursion avoiding Ian, unfortunately, we came across some motor troubles here. So it's put us down for the final, so we can't make it. But all's looking good for the OKN. Super excited for that, finding some pace for that. So excited for the OKN, but bummed I can't drive the shifter.
Yeah, I mean, for OKN, at least in the pre-final, the quickest we've seen you, only a few tenths off, you know, what the leaders are doing, considering how much time they have compared to you in the OKN. Is this a confidence booster for you in the single-speed stuff?
For sure, yeah, it's a confidence booster. We've been working hard in the motor all week, and that's what I've been here to do in the OKN side of things. I've been set to, to test the motor. So motor's coming along very well. Really happy with the progress, and so is Carlos. So the more motor work we do, the quicker I get and the more comfortable I get. So hoping this rain holds off because it looks like it's going to rain right now. But, if it holds off, hopefully we can crack the top 5.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. And speaking of rain, really quickly, I did feel a few sprinkles during the interview. Back to you, Xander.
There you go, Alex. Again, the dark skies continue to loom here eerily over the field. That time by, new fastest laps as the cooler temperatures and the breeze coming through have made those engines sing a little bit nicer. Oliver Hodgson, the race Liberante, resetting the fast time of the race at a 56.20 for Hodgson, a 2.2 for Liberante. They pulled out to a 1.3 second lead back to James Overbeck now. And for a moment we were looking backwards because with 5 minutes plus 2 laps to go, the midfield is where more of the battle is. These two are pretty tame. If you go back to find 5th and 6th, Cooper Auclair was under fire from McGabriel. He surrendered that 5th spot. And look who's coming to frame now. How about it for the kid in 7th, Anthony Rivera, continuing to charge forward. The blue and red energy is now on the verge of the top 5 as he closes up to that blue and yellow J3 competition factory comp card of Cooper Auclair on the front straightaway.
Anthony Rivera with an awesome drive up the field here, showing the pace he really has at this home track of his. He's been one of the fastest all weekend, and proving why as he continues to drive through the field. And while he does that, I've got a quick radar update for you. It looks like we may have rain coming within the next half hour. I know they're feeling some sprinkles here and there, but there looks to be a cell building around us and heading towards us sometime in the near future as we continue on with this race. 4 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. You see Rivera closing in on the back of Cooper Auclair as they head down the hill. Mick Gabriel just in front of them. This is heating up to be a good battle, Xander.
Yeah, definitely going to be fun to watch here, especially as well with the OKN Stars and Pro Stars getting set to go green. Let's go down to pit lane with Alexander Searle as he's got a handful of Pro Stars getting set to get their helmets on as they also watch the skies with a little bit of tremble.
Yeah, thank you, Xander. I'm here with 2 of the Magic Card drivers and Pro Stars. Andy, I'll start with you. Maybe not the pre-final you would have wanted, right? The pace was there, but the luck wasn't.
Yeah, definitely a big surprise at the start. We had the pace to be at the top 3, so hopefully we're able to keep that going.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been around this racetrack a handful of times here. Do you want the rain to hold? How comfortable are you in the rain right now in the shifter?
I'm not feeling it right now. I'm hoping it holds off or else it's not going to be pretty.
All right, and Talon, back to you. I mean, you said, you're waiting for this rain. Are you excited if it rains?
I wouldn't say excited, just prepared, I brought the rain tires up on the kart stand, but we'll see how it goes. AJ was giving me advice a few seconds ago about what to do in the rain. Just don't touch the black stuff and you won't slide.
Yeah, I mean, rolling off P1 here, confidence levels, you think you can walk away with a victory here?
It depends. I have Robbie starting P2 if I get a good launch finally because I've been screwing up, being dumb. I have Robbie. He's a good blocker for me. He's here to support me and not mess me up,
Perfect. It's a good strategy. Back to you guys.
The Magic Kart 1-2 punch makes up that front row here. Meanwhile, Anthony Rivera, what an incredible drive here from further back. He's now into the top 5. Henry Wheeler just a little bit up the road, about a second away with 2 minutes plus 2 laps to go. This incredible charge continues for the blue and red energy driver as the privateer just got around Quick McGabriel's AEM Karting Cosmic for P5. Cooper Auclair as well fell victim to Rivera. He's back to 7th. Mason Surgener still riding along in 8th. Then it's back to Brandon Atkins, and you watched on your screen while we were going to all them. Emerson Reed, E-Train, has cracked the top 10 on the Hotes TD Tony Kart. He got around Spencer Conrad a moment ago, as well as Lucas Smolik. The leaders are continuing to go faster as the clouds cover the skies. Race Liberante, Oliver Hodgson, slow down a bit. Why don't you? A 56-1 for the pair.
There's only one man on the track faster than your leaders, and it is the man on screen right there, Anthony Rivera, holding the fastest time of the race, still improved it to a 56.0. He is now up in P5. He started in P17, so still with a minute plus 2 laps, he is up over 10 spots already in this race, up 12 to be exact so far, and still hunting down.
Yeah, I mean, continuing to close. Look at this here. He's already up to Henry Wheeler. Anthony Rivera trying to get to 4th. Could he even get to the podium from how far back he was? That would be incredible, and it's not out of the question. A minute plus 2 laps to go. He's going to get to Wheeler this time. Big run forward for the blue and red energy car. Back in 5th as he trails the Mark Steel Motorsports Bureau Art Machine to turn number 1. A car length back through the first corner as they climb the hill.
A 56.2 that time by, matching the pace of the leaders, Anthony Rivera. He is moving through this field. The fighting at the front hasn't heated up quite yet. They are still running till to the 2 to go, and they're going to wait to break out the action at the end of this race. But all eyes are on Anthony Rivera as he continues to climb, running now to the back of Henry Wheeler. Like you mentioned, Xander has the pace. We'll see if he goes by into turn 10 here. Not quite close enough this time as the stack of 4 heads down towards turn 11.
Yeah, he's almost there right now. It'll be borderline of whether we'll get 2 to go this time. I think we will. Rivera all the way to Wheeler, so here they come out of turn number 13. Let's keep our eyes on the top as well as on the leaderboard for Rivera. Look at the gap. Oliver Hodgson has pulled a little bit away from Race Liberante. This time by a 10th gap improves it. It's now a car length back to Race. Auclair with his personal best at a 56.14. He's turning it up late, as you saw on your screen. He got around McGabriel for the 6th position, but Hodgson able to take the normal line through 5 and 6 as he leads Race Liberante up the hill. Meanwhile, Rivera, I believe, may have just been able to get around Henry Wheeler for that 4th position and try to close the gap up towards James Overbeck, but he may run out of time. Down as they drop through 10, a car length and a half away. You can see the rain is looming. It's almost here. Oliver Hodgson is going to be the first one to hit the wet patches as they go to turn number 12.
And the rain not quite falling on the track just yet. We are going to expect it as the Pro Stars get ready to go. It's Oliver Hodgson currently in the lead here in KA Stars. White flag in the air this time. What can Race Liberante do to get around him?
That was a beautiful lap from Liberante, a 10th better, but he slid through turn number 1. It looks like the rain's more on the car track side behind turns 1 and 3. The back side of the racetrack looks actually to be a little bit okay, but Hodgson way wide out of 3. Now he hears him, locks up late there into 5 and covers low. 2 veterans of the sport. Both spend most of their time behind the wheel doing driver training. So how about some proof to your drivers? Look at the rain up the hill here to turn number 10. Oliver Hodgson, how comfortable are you on the brakes as they go down the hill? Liberante gets into him. Here to 11. Gives a little hand back saying sorry about that now. Final 2 hairpins. Oliver Hodgson's got to crawl it to the finish. Liberante close, but maybe not enough here as they come out of 13. And Oliver Hodgson in his time behind the wheel with the rain falling, full throttle through the chicane. The Brit is victorious in Pittsburgh.
Wow, and you can see the rain really starting to fall now on your screens. The track getting properly wet. It just missed the end of this one. Didn't really affect the outcome so far as the drivers continuing to work through. There's a rear bumper missing on one of the karts as they all cycle across the finish line, now driving into the full force of the rain as it arrives.
Here comes the rest of the top 20 across the line, but Oliver Hodgson holds off Race Liberante, and now the mad scramble begins on the grid of Pro Shifter. Look at that. Craziness coming across the bus stop chicane. So my goodness, do we have a lot to clean up as we get set to go. But this is going to get absolutely wild. Check that out, folks, again. The rain fully here now here in Pittsburgh for the Steel City Showdown for the two headline divisions getting set to go. Again, we talked about the red flag earlier here today, Simon, that when you lock in to go green for your main event, that's when you're getting ready, you're mentally preparing, and then a red flag happens middle of the race, you snap out of the zone, and you've got to find a way to snap back in. Look at this here now. These guys were already up on the grid, ready to go, and now the rain tire dance begins because we've got to decide, do we go on those sticker slick MG yellows, or do you go to the MG wets? Everyone's prepping, but nobody making the moves just yet. This is going to be fun to watch.
I can say probably for 100% sure they should be switching to rain tires. This is just the start. We've got more rain behind this. This track is going to go full wet. We are in for some exciting action here, Xander.
Check it out down on pit lane here. You can see our camera crew taking a look. This is on Michael Riccio's blue, orange, and white Magic Kart changing over to the wet tires. So they're going to make that adjustment. Not only that, of course, the one benefit they have with the gearbox cars is that they have the different gears. They don't necessarily need to run in a different gear ratio for the damper racetrack. They would obviously change in a full wet setup, but oh, look at this. Oh, the Trinity Karting boys. Here's the thing. The race will roll on time. So the TKG guys, there goes Vincenzo Saraceno. They're rolling slicks. These guys that are changing to wets, it's a huge gamble if they can get it done and get down on the grid before the race is slated to go green. This is going to be wild.
I have my bets on whoever gets to the field on green on wet tires. Not everyone taking the gamble. We'll see who goes out on slicks.
10 minute break here. They're going to give them 10 minutes to change over. So I think the guys that just pushed down on the grid on slicks, they may decide to switch to the wets. They've got to work behind the grid. If we could pan up a little bit on the camera, we can maybe take a look at what's going on. Here's a look at Justin White. That's in the Kartworks USA SRP Maranello. So they're going full wet tires for Justin. And again, they got to make sure they're ready to go. Back of the screen, how about it for the DR North America boys? That's team owner Don Gilbo on the right-hand side, jumping in to help his factory pilot Colin Daly get fully set to go for the wet tires. Robbie Campbell's at the back there. The TKG Kart Republics rolled on by, but they're all the way at the front, and they're going to go make their changes up on the grid. So that 10-minute gap, I believe that they were already working some of the guys at the back. Some of them moved up to the front, but they're at least going to change it around. So we've got 10 minutes now here for the drivers to continue to work on the cars as the rain continues to fall. Check this out from the turn one shot. Look how busy that grid is. Everybody's scrambling, not a single cart on the floor.
Well, not only how busy it is, but how much rain is coming down in the meantime. That's a lot of water taking to the track. This track is going to be slick. It is definitely going to be a wet race. This is going to be some exciting action. Any predictions we may have had before on who's been fast all weekend, out the window. It's whoever got the best prep this morning on the wet conditions to get ready for this final action.
Well, so everyone's going to go to the wet tires now. The official call from the officials was a 10-minute warning. We have 8 minutes left on that clock. The race will go green. Karts on the ground or not allowed to join the racetrack at 4:28 p.m. local time here on the East Coast. Look at that. Robbie Bajoso is sprinting down the grid there. The Magic Kart USA Checkered Motorsports team owner trying to go back to his guys to get what he needs there on his machine as he's there at the back trying to figure out some intel. And he's going to sprint on back. Annie Rule as well. Everyone trying to figure out what they need to know, what's going on. As she runs back to her car, there's the TKG boys going to work on a couple of those Kart Republics at the top of the screen. This changes everything. The only drivers that might have any idea what this is like are the few that went out for morning warm-up on the wet tires today. We heard from the OKN Stars driver, Nate Cicero. He did and turned some laps. There's team owner Sean Bailiff getting involved for his son, Gavin, getting set to go in the 264.
You know, Xander, I don't even think that may have been prep. That was a slightly damp track that was headed to dry. Now we have full rain, full wet track. This is going to be much more difficult than the conditions this morning. It may have been slick this morning. It's going to be a nightmare to race in. Coming up here in a few minutes as everyone gets those final changes made, everyone's switching over to those wet tires. I don't think anyone's going to want to go out on slicks now, Xander.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's going to be a full wet race here. This is going to be a wet and wild one in the two classes that were, for more or less, runaways in the dry. So I think for us, again, this is probably the best case scenario. We got some entertaining racing all the way through in the classes that typically had battles through the dry sections. But in the dry for Pro Stars, it's been all Talon Yockel and Robbie Bajoso pulling away. And in OKN Stars, it's been all about Brandon Carr. And now everyone going to fully scramble. And the OKN Stars, with the added time, they're going to make some additional setup changes. So everyone, a scramble here down by the grid, down by turn number 1, and all the way back at the pre-grid to get themselves what they need here.
And I think OKN Stars may well be a wet race. We'll see how long it takes to get between these two races, but the track certainly filling with water, so we may be in for a couple of exciting races coming up here as you see Talon Yockel's kart going to the ground, and they appear to be ready. Some other drivers getting the final touches on those karts as they get ready to go rain racing here, Xander.
Yeah, again, everybody going in somewhat blind like you mentioned, Simon. There's a look at the Vermont Kart Company, Maranello, the reigning series champ, Vincenzo Saraceno, suited and ready to go as they get his last couple tires on in a full team effort. That's master shifter drivers like Tiffany Kelly and Joe Rook kind of jumping in to help out Vincenzo to make sure he's ready and on the grid. And, again, you saw him look to the skies, be like, oh, man.
Well,
you know?
I've got one more point to bring in, another lack of readiness, not quite the fault of the drivers. They didn't know how heavily the rain was going to come, but I'm seeing no one on a clear rain visor, everyone keeping those mirrored shields on, so visibility may also be an issue on this track.
Yeah, that's a really good point, as we've got no sunshine at all. There's more running down to the front of the grid. Ian Quinn at least thought ahead. He gambled, put a rain suit on. He's got the clear suit there walking towards the front of the grid from this low shot. So he's ready for the rain, but he still has his dark visor on, so that's going to be that's a really good point, Simon. Again, normally everyone goes to the clear visors with the wet weather. Everyone's got their tinted visors on right now.
And if that water starts to beat up on the visor, if they don't have some sort of Rain-X or dissipating solution on the visor, it may beat up and you may lose all visibility regardless of whether it's too dark or not, just because that visor wasn't prepared for the rain. It was prepared for dry weather. And there are a couple things you may do with a rain visor that you don't do with these visors. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see how it progresses. But most of the field's going to deal with it, so I guess it's just a go have fun everyone situation.
Yeah, the same for everyone, right? There's a ton of different things you can do. You know, you can run maybe, some Rain-X, spray that, of course, across the visor. There's a lot of different ways to try and make it a little bit more comfortable and easy to manage. But when you're under the gun like this and it just absolutely downpours like it has here in Pittsburgh, I mean, that just forces everyone to just run with what they got and barely have enough time to get the rain tires on, much less make any kind of setup changes. Normally you maybe want to put in a little more front grip, change your track width from front to rear. As there's more scrambling going on. We're down now to 3 minutes. 3 minutes left here showing on our clock at 4:25. We go green at 4:28. Yockel there standing at the top. He's just ready to go. He's like, all right, what's taking everybody so long?
Yeah, he's certainly ready to get this race underway. You see a couple more karts filing onto the grid. That is the number 1 of Vincenzo Saraceno getting into his kart, getting ready to go racing. Is one more kart still on the stand, but a lot getting ready to go. Only a couple minutes left. You see Talon already in the kart, visor down, looking ready as ever to get on with this rain racing action.
Again, going back about being able to mentally zone in. Talon's able to kind of get locked in there. He's got his mechanic for the weekend in Austin Miles ready to push him off the grid, so he gets a couple moments of zen before this one gets underway. Robbie Bajoso there drilling some holes. That's what they're doing right there on the Robbie's kart. Robbie Bordish show there in the 232, because not only that, you know, if you have a brand new seat in the car, that water is going to puddle at the bottom of it and it'll bring you some extra weight. Well, Robbie's not running any stickers. He's already pushing the limit on the weight minimum for the class with, all that time in the gym to get those extra muscles. So for Robbie, he doesn't want any extra pool of water there. For Annie Rule, she might not mind, but drill a hole in the bottom of the seat. Make sure you got the airbox cover. He doesn't even have the rain airbox cover on right now. So Robbie right now that airbox cover facing forward might be okay, but oh, there it is. There it is. It's coming on right now. So the last couple of things there. Rain airbox cover, rain tires, drill a hole in the bottom of the seat. That's the absolute bare minimum. And that's still a scramble to do all in 10 minutes here, Simon.
Yeah, I saw in chat just earlier, watching live, some people had some questions about how far they could go to a rain setup before this race gets started. So we'll have to see if anyone was able to do any more conversions rather than just slap the rain tires on and go racing, if there are any proper wet setups on the grid right now.
Well, there we go. A little good luck for Talon Yockel in the number 2 plate. Robbie Bajoso there getting Robbie Boydeshow getting the rain airbox cover on. He's good. Colin Daly's on the ground. Justin White is on the ground. He's set to go. Looks like behind Talon we're pretty much set. I believe Gavin Bailiff is all ready to rock as we get set to fire off. So they're getting the last couple of bits on the grid lined and ready as the rain continues to fall here in Pittsburgh. We're now about 1 minute away from going green, showing 4:27 on our clock, 4:28. The drivers are looking to the start lights at the top of the grid. There is Justin Newcomb, the grid steward, checking his watch to see when it's time to fire off. And then when it's time, they all need to have those carts on the ground ready to go. And there's the signal. It looks like it's time to fire off. Here we go for Pro Stars. Talon Yockel leads the drivers onto the racetrack. They're going to get half a lap of warm-up, more or less, to really learn the condition of the circuit, and then we're going to race.
It's going to be tricky. I'm really, really excited to watch this one. They've been pretty clean races filing out, especially in these single or in these multi-speed categories with the gearboxes. They spread out. They close on entries, but they spread out on the exit of the corner, so it's hard to find as much action as something like a KA Junior or Stars race, but this should be plenty of action here as all the drivers already getting out there on the warm-up lap, running different lines, trying to figure out where the grip's going to be on these rain tires.
Yeah, here they go, slowly making the way around. Look how soaked the racetrack is. You have the rooster tails of spray off of both the rear tires coming from everybody. And Talon Yockel, again, the first one through it. The kid that's been slowly developing, only his second full year in a gearbox car. He's raced in the rain plenty of times. I'm not sure he's ever raced in the rain in a pro shifter kart before. And if he has, it's definitely less than a handful of times. He'll bring them through the bus stop on the outlap here, and they will begin to form into the boxes. So let's get set to go racing for Pro Stars. The main event, it's going to be wet and wild. Talon Yockel enters the weekend as the points leader. He's been perfect so far. Robbie Boydeshow joining for some fun and also helping develop the young talent on the Magic Kart 10 completes the front row. Justin White has been so impressive with his speed this weekend, but a blotched start in Heat 1 had him on the back foot through the heats in the pre-final. He now gets to start third. Colin Daly will get to roll off in the fourth spot as the last bit of the field files into place for Pro Stars. A last-second change in the weather has thrown a wrench at everybody. Who can survive the wet in turn number 1? We go to the lights, pull those clutches back, and off the line, Robbie Bajoso. A little bit of wheel spin, but he'll get the whole shot into turn number 1.
And he either left early or Talon left late. There's a great separation in the launching time between those two, but Bajoso going to clear everyone into turn 3. Everyone crawling through turn 3 a little bit wide, trying to find out where that grip is. They're coming 2-3 wide out of the corner. You see a couple drivers on the inside. Gavin Bailiff diving down to the inside, trying to make it work in about the 5th spot there as they work through the horseshoe.
Yeah, this is so difficult to pass here. Everyone trying to struggle for grip. Robbie Boydeshow leads them up the hill. Then it's Talon Yockel in second. Colin Daly went backwards on that start. So did Justin White as Michael Riccio fought his way up to third on the inside to get by. But look at that for the big man, Robbie Boydeshow as Talon Yockel. Michael Riccio off the racetrack for the 299. One of the Magic Karts is out. Another one is out over in turn number 10. Not sure who that one was as they race out of the corner. We'll get one lap complete and get an idea of our leaderboard. Out of turn number 16, it's Boydeshow, Yockel, Riccio, Justin White, Gavin Bailiff. The top 5 back to Annie Rule and Colin Daly as they all cycle by here, spraying at the fence line.
And they're trying to get this tricky track figured out. We watched him down into turn 10 running a massively wide line. I thought Bedoso was going to go off the track. Oh, and Justin White losing it a bit on the exit of turn 3. Now look at that. Gavin Bailiff diving to his inside. He'll complete that move into turn 5. Justin White trying to come back on him, but just not enough grip out there on this slick track.
And that's, again, the name of the game here is the rain has now stopped with that quick dumping onto the circuit. Is that, you know, you're really making a lot more passes off of mistakes than you are off of actual runs. Oh, the leader's off! The leader is off! Robbie Boydishow out of the lead in turn 10 goes off the racetrack, and Talon Yuckel inherits the top spot with a close run from Michael Riccio. Boydishow, a big mistake from the veteran. He slots in line behind his teammate Andy Rule.
And he's going to try and go to her inside here, sliding all the way out of the corner. I mentioned it last lap. He was running so wide into turn 10. I thought he was going off the lap prior. Finally overdid it just a little bit, and that'll hand the lead over to Talon Yockel. A couple kart links over Michael Riccio, and Gavin Bailiff taking the fight, trying to get up to P2. Everyone so wide into turn 1. Annie Rule with some wheel spin out, but Bedoso is going to look to her inside. Not quite going to get the move done yet. Into turn 3 they go. Everyone running a different line. Some trying to shallow up the exit. Others running completely wide. And look at that move from Gavin Bailiff diving down the inside of turn 5. Will pull a slide job on Michael Riccio as he moves his way into P2.
That is second lap in a row doing that move. That was pretty nice. Now, as the drivers are continuing to watch the on-track action, I'm sure one is probably happy he's no longer out there. How about that performance in the main event from the two veterans, Race Liberante and Oliver Hodgson? Let's go side by side and hear from him after they have gotten out of the cars and through the scale line and survived the wet weather, as it's now pouring again over on the backside of the racetrack. Alex?
Yeah, thanks, Xander. I'm here with your P1 and P2 finishers and KA Stars. Oliver, I'll start with you. I mean, first of all, I got to know what was going through your mind that final lap when it started pouring with rain.
Yeah, I was excited. I didn't know how it was going to shape out because I was thinking if it falls heavy, there's going to be so many choices to make. But I was definitely excited, and it was pretty interesting going down to the back set of hairpins because I went in tight. And I overslowed the car, and I think Race did the opposite, and we both come in the pits, and I think we both thought we'd done something wrong to each other, and the complete opposite situation for each of us.
Yeah, and Race, I mean, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the whole race, I was sitting behind him. We were getting away from everybody else, and you know, Ollie's an old teammate of mine. We worked together for a long time, so it was the first chance we got to race each other ever, really. And so we were gonna duke it out with 2 to go, and then I wasn't close enough with 2 to go. I got that gap down on the last lap, and thought I was going to have a place to set him up, but the water came, and we were both just sliding around. He was for sure a tooth or two higher than I was in that race, and he was able to squirt away where, you know, when I tried to set him up and get to the power when he did, he just had a little more oomph out of the corner than I did. So great race. Overall, great weekend. I'm glad I came out of, I guess, retirement to do it. Yeah, I'll be at Miami Grands next week now, so we'll see.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It is pouring rain down here. Back to you, Xander.
Look at this on the racetrack here. We have got a fight for the lead, and there was a battle for third. Colin Daly has gotten around Justin White, but Gavin Bailiff has been the fastest driver up until this point with Daly as around he goes. Oh, no. Gavin Bailiff had just gotten up to the bumper of the lead, and nosing into him is Annie Rule in turn 3.
Oh, no. Heartbreak for those two drivers. Gavin, definitely the quickest on track, ran down Talon Yockel, who was out front and was starting to try and make those moves for the lead. Annie Rule's going to get back rolling, but that may be the end of the race for Gavin Bailiff.
Down the back straightaway here, Talon Yockel leads down to turn number 10, and look who's looming. It's the Flying Jamaican at home here in the elements. As they head to turn 10, it is an absolute monsoon in the back section. Yockel, having driven here in the wet and the dry, but never probably much in a shifter kart, is under heavy fire from the former semi-pro shifter national champion here in the U.S., Colin Daly, and a driver who is looking to get himself a win for the first time in more than 3 years on the national stage. As he takes it down to turn 1, you can see the difference, and closing in there, look who's back in the picture. Robbie Boydishow is back to fourth with the fastest lap of the race.
That does not surprise me. He's been limit testing this entire time, finding the very edge of the grip. Overdid it once, but has not made that mistake again. Instead, putting down some blistering pace to recover this race. And now he edges up on the back of Justin White, and Justin White's just behind these two. We've seen Colin Daly starting to put the pressure on Talon Yockel out front. Bureso is all over the back of Justin White as they climb the hill.
Yeah, Yockel pops the curb there at turn number 9. Talon Yockel just trying to stay mistake-free here in this one as the track continues to change. Look how deep Robbie Boydeshow goes there to turn number 10. He's continuing to challenge Justin White for that third spot, that final step of the podium as he gets closer and closer, running right in the spray of Justin through turns 12 and 13. Behind him is Ian Quinn, who has had to come from way back and has gotten up into the top 5 on the Macron Motorsports Comp Kart. And talking about coming from the back, how about Vincenzo Saracino on that Vermont Kart Company Maranello from nearly dead last? He's up to 6th. The number 1 plate is moving forward.
Yeah, certainly a great drive for Vincenzo, weathering the elements, making his way up the field. Colin Daly is the one on the move right now, putting the pressure, running different lines. And Talon Yockel, he's closing up in on that lead, trying to find a way around Talon. They're both fairly evenly matched, but Colin Daly has definitely run down Talon over the past couple of laps here, Xander.
Talon is in the worst spot possible here. Again, he is the first one to go through. Everyone else can use him as a gauge and try different things based on Talon's line. They'll learn things he will have no idea about. You can see Daly again experimenting right now with different ways to attack each corner, going from the outside then all the way down to the inside and use the curb to rotate the car. They know how slick the Rhino patch is. Look at this, drag racing to turn number 12. Yockel's on the inside, he has to park it. Daly rips around the outside. Colin Daly to the lead to the bus stop.
What a pass around the outside of turn number 12. Colin Daly, the flying Jamaican, makes his way up into the lead. Talon Yockel still trying to fight that position as they come down towards turn 1. Your new leader and his personal best lap of the race that time by Colin Daly at a 106.9. It's still Bludeso with the fastest lap overall, currently sitting in P4. You can just see him in the back of the frame now. After throwing it off from the lead early, he is making gains, and the top 4 pretty close. It's way closer than I expected from this class.
No doubt about it here. Everyone trading. And again, poor Talon Yockel trying to adjust his line on the fly now, learning from Colin Daly, but just couldn't really get it down through 3. He's already a second back. Look at Robbie right up onto the curb there out of turn number 9. Was sideways as he came through. Lost a little bit. He's still applying a lot of pressure to Justin White's Kartworks USA Maranello. But Colin Daly, the veteran, using his experience to try and give DR North America its first win in a handful of seasons as well. This would be a phenomenal win for Colin Daly, and I believe his first in the Stars Championship Series, if not his first in it, the first in quite some time. To the bus stop, Talon Yockel trying to close up here once again and learn a little bit as he now trails there in second, about 9/10 away.
A 106.8 last time by. That is the fastest lap of the race for Colin Daly. All he needed was the lead to prove it. Talon Yockel only a 107.4, so losing some time on that last lap. And Justin White and Robbie Bludeso are closing in from behind, but out front, Colin Daly enjoying his lead, starting to take off on this field now.
Problems for Jonathan Ocasio here. He was running inside the top 10 overall. He's now fallen way back, and he was the leader. Give the lead now in that Rockstar subcategory to Tegan Poles. So that's a big change. Saracino also got around Ian Quinn. Vincenzo Saracino is now in the top 10. Rain continuing to fall here. Let's go side by side for a little bit more. Oh, no, we'll stay green here for now as around goes Boydeshow in the infield in turn number 11. Robbie Boydeshow right behind Justin White, put the power down, and there was no grip to the rear.
And one of the fastest drivers on track, but he is pushing the limits just a little bit too hard. Has found 2 mistakes in this race that cost him the lead and most likely the win, as Colin Daly has been consistent out front. A 106.9 last time by, still 0.7 of a second faster than Talon Yockel out back. And there you see Annie Rule coming through turn 12 as we see the rain continuing to fall over this circuit. And Colin Daly enjoying his advantage. Justin White starting to close in on Talon for P2.
Yeah, there we go. Talon Yockel trying to close back up. Justin White is closing in on him as well, but he'll have to get really aggressive if he wants to try and get by. Up the hill to turn number 9 for Talon. A couple car lengths back to Justin here with 4 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Colin Daly's lead continuing now. It was 1.7 seconds last time by. Might be even more this time as he's over half a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, certainly he is checking out. Bludeso, a bad lap last time by, a 1:12 due to that spin. But as we watch Justin White come through behind Talon Yockel, he is making gains inch by inch. Once you get close, another added difficulty, rather than just having a little bit of air wash in these carts off the front fairing, you also get this massive spray in the rain. We had a low shot last time by. It was a lot of spray, impairs visibility heavily, and we are on 2 laps to go this time by. They have waved it. The clock up top, ignore it. It is 2 to go. Last 2 laps of this race, and Colin Daly with a massive advantage over Talon Yockel.
Yeah, so 2 laps left here in this shortened rain main event. Yockel just needing to hang on over Justin White's Kartworks USA SRP Marinello. I believe it may be Justin White's first career Pro Stars podium. It would be a huge win to break through for the DR North America boys for Colin Daly. And he had made his return really to the scene earlier this year, almost full-time, spending more and more time in the U.S. He said he'd love to live over here someday and stop having to commute all the way from Jamaica to get here. He's been busy, and himself, along with Don Gilbo and the DRT racing team, have been super active with the Modena power plants in the OKN class with Wes Duchek, who is lined up to go green. He's got a big act to follow. If Colin can hang on as around goes Talon Yockel. Yockel spins in the bus stop. He keeps it going. Gives second place to Justin White coming to the white flag.
And Justin White comes through turn 1 in a newfound second place, gifted to him in that final corner. An impressive recovery from Talon to turn that spin into only a 1-spot loss as he drops to third place, still on the podium. As you see, the man himself, Colin Daly, coming through the last time around this circuit. A nice advantage. He's just cruising around this track, trying not to drive it off. Keep it clean and green for that first national win in a while as Colin Daly comes over turn 10 down the hill for the last time.
What a heartbreak for Talon Yockel there. Great save. Kept his foot in it, did a full 360, but Talon Yockel spins as the water puddles up in the bus stop. Is that going to be any trouble for Colin Daly? He can slow that pace down. It's a 3-second lead to Justin White for his first win in a long time. Colin Daly up and over the curbing, through the bus stop, and out of turn 16. He'll crawl it across the line, and DR is back in the winner's circle in Pittsburgh.
Well done, Colin Daly. Mastering the conditions, he will take home first place. Justin White comes home P2. Talon recovers from that spin to end up P3, and Robbie Buidoso comes home after a couple of mistakes to finish P4, the early leader in this race. Crossing the line now, that is Ian Quinn coming home P5, and we will wait for the rest of the field.
What a performance as well for Justin White on the Kartworks USA SRP Marinello. His best career finish in Pro Stars competition. As around goes Zach Frank coming to the line in the Eyes Up Body Symmetry MD Beryl Art. Powered by Mega Power. He spins out of 8th. Here comes the rest of the field. He's trying to push it across the line. They're going to be coming here in just a moment. Miles Danoff, Vincenzo Saraceno were not far behind last time by. And across the stripe, he'll fire back up just in time to get across ahead of Vincenzo.
And he didn't even lose the spot there. I thought he was going to Ricky Bobby it across the line, but he hops in, gets it refired, and finishes the race P8. Vincenzo Saraceno comes home P9, and Miles Danoff rounds out your top 10.
What a performance as well from Tegan Poles to finish 6th overall. She wins the Rock subcategory. Ian Quinn with a respectable top 5 after a rough run on the weekend. He picks up 9 spots here in the wet to go forward. Robbie Boydeshow ends 4th. Talon Yockel survives a spin to end on the podium still and extend that championship points lead. It'll be a massive margin going into Cincinnati in 2 months' time to close out the season. And then further back, look at the number of DNFs. Michael Riccio had such a good run. Gavin Bailiff as well was doing so good before the spin in turn number 3. Safik Haddock the third, Robbie Campbell. A number of cars littered around the racetrack. That was wild, that was wet, and well, it's still very, very wet here on the racetrack. We've got one more class to go. OKN Stars is up next once we clear everything out from Pittsburgh. The engines come to life for the OKN Stars, and the final race of the weekend is underway here as the field makes its way out of turn number 7 and up the hill. In the same case as the Pro Stars, their first and only lap to feel out the current track conditions is the warm-up lap. From there on, they will have to race it. Brandon Carr and the Ryan Perry Motorsport red and white Tony Kart will lead the field to green. He's been the dominant driver all weekend in the dry. We'll see how good the English kid, the senior rookie, can do as he searches for his second career national win in the pro categories. Henry Wheeler has yet to get a first career national win. He was close in Newcastle before Aiden Fox tracked him down. It looks like we'll get one full warm-up lap on the circuit before they'll form up for the green, which will be nice for them to get a full lap at speed. Back from Henry Wheeler, it's Wes Duchak on the DR North America entry who rolls off in third. Just chatted for a moment with Colin Daly, the Pro Stars driver that was able to get his first win in quite a while here in the United States. We'll talk to him once this race gets underway. Back from Wes Duchak finds the team GWR Gillard of Alex Stanfield. And look at again how quickly the track temperature, the steam coming off the circuit. This is going to dry at some point, just not anytime soon though, Simon.
Yeah, definitely not. I think it's going to be a wet race for the entirety of its duration as they continue to warm up those tires, find the lines. Just like the Pro Stars drivers, they are out on a tricky circuit, tricky conditions, much trickier than the warm-up this morning. And already you see one spinning at the top of the hill coming towards turn 10. That is the number 12 card of Keegan Bosch.
And that spin could mean that he's over here again, as he may be able to try and refire, but he might be done on this outlap. Let's see, are they going to let him try and bump start himself as he tries to get going there? He's got a little bit of dragging gunk on the rear bumper, pushes the compression valve in, and yeah, no, that's it. Bosch is done. Keegan Bosch, the disappointment now sets in with a spin on the outlap. That's the problem. Again, the direct drive cars, they won't refire. No different than the shifters as well, but even harder to bump start these. So any mistake where you go around and you're done, you can't pull a clutch and pull a 360. There's a little bit of confusion further back. It looks like everyone's going to sort themselves out nicely as we get set for the green flag. Brandon Carr, Henry Wheeler. Let's go racing down to turn number 1. Wes Duchak trying to go on the inside. Alex Stanfield on the high side. It's Carr that gets the lead to 3, and 1, 2, and 3 as they ran to the pre-final, lead them into the corner. Look at Duchak. Deep on the inside. He'll nearly drive it off the circuit as he goes way into the runoff area.
He still recovers P4 out of that slide, but not for long as he gets dived down the inside in contact with Stanfield. A couple drivers around in the horseshoe. Stanfield backed up there as well. Stanfield losing a lot of positions down near the back of the field now.
Oh, and off goes Duchak again, this time at turn number 8. Wes is off. Also, Nate Cicero spun around in turn number 5. His day is done. So Cicero is out, and now it is Brandon Carr, Henry Wheeler, and who do we have up to third with Alex Stanfield going wide? Well, how about Aiden Fox, the round 2 winner, survives the opening couple of laps, a couple of turns, really. As they go through turn 12, we got a side-by-side run for the lead. Henry Wheeler is through as he gets by Brandon Carr for the top spot.
Brandon Carr dipping a tire on exit there, maybe a bit too much entry speed, couldn't really commit to throttle on exit there. That will give Henry Wheeler your lead so far as they come through turn 1. Brandon Carr still right up on that rear bumper, and it is still Aiden Fox over Nicholas Terlecki and Eli Fox, your top 5 as they head towards turn 3, running a really wide line using all the track on exit. Henry Wheeler, the couple of kart links over Brandon Carr.
What an opening lap for Eli Fox on that Fury Racing GP car in the 5th spot. Nicholas Terlecki as well, a great start. Problems further back. That's the 54. Josh Conker is done. His teammate as well in the Maranello, it looks like Adam Roberts is done. So more and more drivers going out early here as they try to master the elements in OKN Stars, being a little bit too aggressive. You saw, if you look back at Nate Cicero, when he spun, his left hand went down to the side where a battery and onboard starter would be for the longtime X30 driver, and realized, oh yeah, I'm in a direct drive car. I can't refire like that. I'm done. So he's out, and we're only down to, it looks like, just 10 that cross the line at the end of lap number 1. Wheeler, Carr, Fox, Terlecki, Eli Fox, then Aiden Lorenko, Julian DaCosta, Alex Stanfield, 4.5 seconds back there in 8th. Josh Holtz is 9th. Wes Duchak is 10th, but still running as we go down through the line to turn number 1 with Brandon Carr trying to hold off Aiden Fox. Let's go side by side and talk to one happy Jamaican. Colin Daly is a winner again here in the United States. He's standing by with Alexander Searle.
Thank you, Xander. I'm here with the flying Jamaican, or should I say the Rainmaster, Colin Daly. Because, Colin, what a performance you put on in that race. I mean, describe to me your emotions right now.
I'm feeling really good, as you said before, earlier when we were walking. It's been a long time since I won a race here. I mean, apart from COVID break and stuff, it's been like, 2019, so it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, with how quick you were in the rain, what do you think set you apart from the other drivers in that class to be so quick in the rain?
It's very difficult to explain. I mean, in Jamaica, it doesn't rain like this here. It's normally warm and the weather is constant. But when I used to race in Homestead, it used to rain a lot. So I was really good in the rain from when I was young.
All right, thank you, Colin.
All right, thank you.
There you hear it from Colin Daly, as you mentioned, trying to remember back, might have been as late as 2019. That would be more than 4 years ago since he was able to get the win. Now down to turn 1 here. We've seen a change in third. Nick Terlecki's gone around Aiden Fox. Nick Terlecki trying to get his first career OKN Stars podium. And Henry Wheeler right now is chasing his first career OKN Stars win, his first pro national win ever, his first senior win ever on the national stage. And he's got a 2.5 lead over the points leader.
He was a half a second faster than Brandon Carr last time by. The fastest man of the race so far, a 108.16 for Henry Wheeler as he continues to extend his advantage. And we look at Nicholas Terlecki and Aiden Fox as ahead up towards turn 10 and around, as you see everyone running really wide, trying to use all the grip on the outside because the inside of that corner with the Rhino patch is so slick.
Here through the battle for third continues. It's decently spread further back. Let's take an update here on where Alex Stanfield is as Terlecki starts to pull away from Aiden Fox. The Team GWR Giller driver, he's back up to 6. He's gone around Josh Holtz, gone around Aiden Lorenko. Next up on the target list for Alex Stanfield is going to be Eli Fox, who is the last spot inside the top 5. So that's one of the other drivers involved in the championship fight with Brandon Carr trying to play catch-up. Behind him there with Lorenko in 8th as he's fallen behind Holtz. Then it's Julian DaCosta's Tony Kart, and then Wes Duchek on the DR back in the 10th position. That time by, Brandon Carr was a little better than the race leader, but not by much. And Aiden Fox there in 3rd just got back around Terlecki.
Impressive move there from Aiden Fox as we see the number 13 Kart work his way up the hill ahead of Terlecki, headed towards turn 10, mastering these tricky conditions. There's the LN Kart, followed closely. Oh,
Brandon Carr way wide there, pushing the limit in turn number 10. Just kissed the outside grass there on the red and white RPM Tony Kart. So you know he's pushing. He wants to get national win number 2 on the season, number 2 on the Stars season as well. And he can see the driver pulling away up the road from Henry Wheeler, doing a great job here in the wet, trying to get that big and elusive first-time win. There's Alex Stanfield. Look at the gap. He's already pulled up to 5th as Aiden Fox nearly drops a tire. And the furl black flag goes to Nick Terlecki down at turn number 1. A warning for the Holtz DD and number 88 car through turn 1. He was fully sideways as he tried to put the power down.
And last time by, Henry Wheeler gapping out the field just a little bit more. He was a 107.9, a new fastest lap of the race to Brandon Carr's 109.0. That mistake over in turn 10 costing him just a little bit of time. As you see, it is now spread out to over 2 seconds between the leaders. But the fight for 3rd and 4th, Aiden Fox versus Nicholas Terlecki, one of the closest on track as we move back and see Alex Stanfield in the middle of a sandwich heading up the hill.
Down through turn number 10. There you see 1st and 2nd. There is 3rd and 4th. Stanfield working on Eli Fox for 5th, trying to get through with Josh Holtz, continuing to apply pressure. Look at the inside rear tire hike for Josh Holtz, one of the tallest drivers on the field. He had that thing in the air for about a good probably 10 feet going to turn number 10. Watch him here into turn number 12, how quickly he'll put full input, lift that inside rear tire going into the corner. That might have been a little bit much, though, as he loses a lot of ground to Alex Stanfield.
Yeah, not quite getting the exit he wanted. A lot of weight transfer in that kart, helping it bite on the outside and rotate through the corner in these wet conditions. You see Eli Fox there ahead of Alex Stanfield as they come through the line. Alex Stanfield closing in on that gap. Out front, it's spreading out even farther. Henry Wheeler checking out 2.5 seconds to Brandon Carr in P2, but this battle with Eli Fox and Alex Stanfield starting to heat up, with Stanfield having a bit more speed than that number 6 machine ahead of him.
Yeah, let's see if he can get there. Last time by, Alex Stanfield, 109.1. Fox did pick it up to a 109.1 as well, but Stanfield's had a best lap time a little bit better by about a couple of tenths. So we'll see if the Texan can get going. Here's a look at Brandon Carr again, trying to make up the ground to Henry Wheeler. Every time Carr improves, Wheeler does as well. Wheeler that time reset fast time of the session, 107.89. Aiden Fox looking good as he pulls away from Nick Terlecki. He might actually be the fastest driver around the racetrack this time by on the Fox & Son Karting EOS kart. And with the win in Newcastle and a good run here in this final, he could assert himself into this championship battle. So through turn number 1, the update on laps will Aiden Fox, 108.3, 108.2 for Carr, and a 107.7 for Henry Wheeler. I'm mistaken. Henry Wheeler again, fastest car on the racetrack. He is hooked up at the moment there with 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, as we see Aiden Fox coming through the horseshoe here, one of the quickest on track, that's for certain. And we'll see if he can make up anything into this gap to Brandon Carr ahead of him. He's still checking out just a little bit by little bit on Nicholas Terlecki behind him as they work up the hill. There is Henry Wheeler. There's the gap to Brandon Carr, using every inch of track on the outside, trying to get the most out of it. Anything he can do to try and make up this gap, but it is already out to 3 seconds by now.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal performance by Henry Wheeler. We saw how good he was in Newcastle here. Brandon Carr, of course, was decent at the second round of the championship, collected good points in his typical, consistent, always around inside the top 4, top 5 ways. But for Henry Wheeler, that was really a breakout weekend, kind of the second of 2. The weekend before at the U.S. Pro Kart Series in Houston, he really started to get going, was running in the top 5 before breaking a chain on the verge of his first national podium in KA Senior. Then he goes to Newcastle Motorsports Park. It contends with Alex Stanfield for the win in both heat races. Ends up leading with a handful of laps to go, only to get reeled in and caught by Aiden Fox, who would go on to steal the win at round number 2 of the Stars Championship Series. And from there, it's just been closer and closer. They say you got to lose a few to win before you can win one. Aiden Fox has been on the other end of that plenty of times before he was able to break through for a couple big national wins this year. And now is today the day for Henry Wheeler. He's got 5 minutes to close it out. The BJR MDR Blue and Yellow LN kart has now 4 seconds on the field and continuing to add on to it as he heads towards the bus stop once again.
Yeah, Henry Wheeler resetting fast lap of the race as usual now, a 107.6 as he comes by the line this time. We'll see what this lap was, another 107.6, but Brandon Carr was a 108.4. Last lap re-improves to a 107 or 108.1, but behind him, Aiden Fox reeling in that gap, only 0.8 of a second behind Carr now as he is doing 107.6s as well.
Yeah, Aiden Fox really starting to go at the moment there on the Fox & Son Karting number 13. If he can back up that Newcastle win with a second place and beating the points later, again, this is going to be huge for Aiden's championship title hopes. For Brandon Carr, again, he's doing everything he needs to do to clinch a title after winning at round 1, just kind of being around the fight and having no mistakes here. We saw the mistake at Alex Stanfield and Wes Duchek on the opening lap, of course, from Nate Cicero as well. Carr's been able to avoid chaos, I think, more than almost any driver this season here across all the Pro Nationals championships. And that's part of the reason why he's constantly being talked about in the championship title contention. He led the standings in the U.S. Pro Kart Series, led them here in the Stars Championship Series, and looks like he should be on track to lead them coming out of this weekend. One of his rivals, Alex Stanfield, now closing in. Stanfield trying to get to 5th. He's been working Eli Fox over the last few laps. He's now down about 3 car lengths away with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, he's definitely closing in on Eli Fox. This has been a race-long development. He's been trying to get back to this rear bumper of the number 6 machine, finally starting to close in bit by bit as the fight for P2 is starting to heat up. Brandon Carr back down into the 107s now for the first time at 107.9, but Aiden Fox another 107.7, closing that gap even farther. It is down to just about 6-7 tenths of a second now as we watch Stanfield hunt down Eli Fox through the horseshoe.
Yeah, he is closer and closer here. Another good run for Alex Stanfield on that GWR Gillard as they climb the hill and pop the curb at turn at number 9. He is closing in. Look how close Fox got to Brandon Carr this time. Really close there as Carr rocketed out of turn number 11. So the fight for second and third continuing to get tighter and tighter, and Aiden Fox now seeing how close Carr is, he's going to have a little bit of extra motivation as they close the gap out of the bus stop down to maybe 0.3 of a second or so. Another phenomenal lap from Aiden Fox as he pulls 0.3 off.
Yeah, Brandon Carr falling off just a little bit, 108.4 last time by, falling into the clutches of Aiden Fox as he continues to push and watch Henry Wheeler disappear into the distance. He is now 5.3 seconds clear. There you can see him exiting the horseshoe now as both Brandon Carr and Aiden Fox work their way through. Aiden spaced out a little bit more this lap, not quite the best start to this lap. We'll see how the back section rolls for the number 13 Fox & Son Kart as they come down through turn number 10. Brandon Carr running wide as usual. Everyone taking this wide line through here, and you see Nicholas Terlecki in the back of the frame there. The fight still raging on. Alex Stanfield continuing to hunt down Eli Fox.
Yeah, Alex Stanfield versus Eli Fox. Aiden Fox versus Brandon Carr. Battle for second, battle for fifth. Stanfield still not close enough to do anything, but Aiden Fox, the closing rate, getting tighter and tighter now. It is, again, another new purple lap for Henry Wheeler. He's not slowing down at all. Brandon Carr, big mistake in turn 1 as he blows the corner. Brandon Carr touches the dirt, and Aiden Fox gets through for second.
Is Brandon Carr going to try and come back at Aiden Fox? Does he have the pace to? It has been Aiden Fox, the quicker one of the two for the past couple of laps, ran him down, forced him into a mistake there in turn 1. And now it is the man in the number 13 machine up into P2. Carr falls to P3.
Yeah, Aiden Fox there. I mean, the last few laps he had forced Brandon Carr to really start searching for more grip. The lap before he goes off in turn 1, Brandon Carr went to his personal best at a 107.7, was actually 0.2 better, was starting to pull back away from the Fox & Son karting EOS kart. And unfortunately, Brandon Carr blows turn 1, goes a little bit too deep, just over the limit, as everyone's trying to guesstimate how much faster they can go through every turn as the lap dries out, or the track dries out every single lap. For Brandon Carr, now, can you get back to Aiden Fox? And do you need to worry about Nicholas Terlecki? They've still got 3 laps to go. It is a big lead for Henry Wheeler, but it's anyone's guess how the rest of the field shakes out.
Brandon Carr certainly going to try and get back to the rear bumper. Aiden Fox started to find his form right before he had that off last lap as they work through the horseshoe. He's not that far away from the rear bumper as we watch Henry Wheeler climb the hill in the distance.
Yeah, here they go through the S's. 2 to go this time by Aiden Fox, pulling away just a little bit through the infield from Brandon Carr. How about this, though, for the lead, though, as the second and third place drivers head out of turn number 10. You're later coming out of turn number 11. Henry Wheeler, again, what an amazing story, and what a way to get your first career Pro National win, the BJR MDR LN kart, leading by more than 6.5 seconds as he pops the curb in the bus stop. He'll see 2 laps to go. Just hang on for a couple more times around pit race, and you've got yourself a main event win on the national stage here, Henry.
You think he'd be cruising a little bit more than this with the advantage he has over P2, but he's still putting down quick laps. Although last lap, Aiden Fox, a 107.1, blows the doors off of it. That's 0.4 faster than anyone has gone all race. Checking out from Brandon Carr, who is also running competitive times behind.
Back behind there, you've got Aiden Fox in the 13. Again, a great points haul up for grabs for Aiden Fox in second. Good stuff for Brandon Carr, even though he ended up fading backwards. He's dominated the weekend. That's still a great amount of championship points. A third-place results here should be pretty much on lock with Nick Terlecki 3 seconds away. Alex Stanfield still about a second to 0.8 back from Eli Fox. He hasn't been able to break through that barrier, so he'll probably land no better than 6th with a second to 2 seconds back to Josh Holtz, Lorenko Duchak, who has gotten around DaCosta for 9th. White flag in the air one more time around for Henry Wheeler to capture his first career national win.
as we see him work through turn 1, being very steady, not using all of that exit runoff, keeping it clean and inside the lines. He works through turn number 3, still going fast at 107.7 last time by, so not letting up the pace very much, just getting things done, staying locked in as he works through the horseshoe for the final time.
He'll go up the hill one more time. That number 18, blue, yellow, and white LN Kart for Brandon Jarczyk Racing and Mike Doty Racing. They haven't had a headline class win since Brandon was back behind the wheel, and Paulie Massimino was able to get him that all-star win 2 years ago at the IAMA USA Grand Nationals. Beyond that, it's been a trying run. They've had some KA senior wins, but for a 125 senior class win here, it's been a little while. Henry Wheeler on his way home. The rookie trying to deliver here for the Steel City Showdown. He heads to the bus stop for the final time. And out of turn 16, Henry Wheeler wins an OKN Stars in Pittsburgh. His first career national win.
Awesome drive by Henry Wheeler as you see him come through turn 1 and the advantage he has over the rest of the field. Aiden Fox coming home second. Brandon Carr in P3. Nicholas Terlecki comes home fourth, and Eli Fox rounds out your top 5. Still waiting for a few drivers to cross the line.
Stanfield ends up 6th. Holtz ends up in 7th. Aiden Lorenko on the Fox & Son karting machine will end in 8th. There's Wes Duchak in 9th. Julian DaCosta will round off the field in 10th as he slides it across the line. So there's a look at the field here. Lots to talk about after the rain changed the game for everybody. How about it for Eli Fox there to get a top 10 result there, a top 5 result up 10 spots. And what a performance for Henry Wheeler. He's able to turn the tides and flip the script from Newcastle, where he was the dominant driver, it felt like most of the weekend, just to come up a spot shy. Now he's the one that upsets Brandon Carr here on Sunday afternoon for the main event win. Aiden Fox with a great run to solidify himself as a championship contender in 2nd. Brandon Carr 3rd. Nicholas Terlecki 4th. And on down the order to Eli Fox with a top 5 result here. His best so far here in the championship standings. What an awesome run for those drivers here. As we wrap up a little bit of the on-track action, of course, we are going to talk a little more with the stars from this one, but nothing, I don't think there's anything left on the bingo board for racing here. We've seen some crashes, a red flag, a restart, wet racing, dry racing, in between even this morning with a wet to dry tire changeover. This weekend for the Steel City Showdown has had it all here in Pittsburgh.
Everything you could possibly ask for from Pittsburgh International Race Complex. The Steel City Showdown has been exciting all the way through. Nothing expected, but a lot of fun, a lot of chaos in between.
Congratulations again to 2 surprise winners here. Colin Daly gets his first win in over 4 years for the DR North America boys, and Henry Wheeler gets his first career national win in OKN Stars to make it 3 different winners in just as many races for that category. It has been an action-packed weekend. The on-track stuff is completed. We'll be back live Friday here in 5 days' time for the IAMA USA Grand Nationals at Mooresville, North Carolina's Trackhouse Motorplex for what is North America's all-star race with over $30,000 in cash alone, $50,000 in cash and prizes, and counting upwards still for the shootout races on Friday and Saturday night, for the main event races for all classes on Sunday as well. That's all coming for more racing. However, you want to hear from the best drivers here. Post-race interviews are on the way right after this. Welcome back here to Pittsburgh as the Stars Championship Series OKN Stars drivers have made it through the scale line. We're going to go downstairs here to Alexander Searle on pit lane to catch up with the aftermath of that main event and hear from our top contenders. So as we wrap everything up here from Pittsburgh, obviously a lot to clean up and a lot to take away from it. But first, let's hear from some of the stars of the field as they get themselves ready to talk to us down here on pit lane. We'll the last little bit of post-race scaling going through. It looks like we've got finally all of our drivers starting to make their way through tech over to our interview station on pit lane here. Alexander Searle's got a number of them ready to talk to. So, Alex, let's send it on down to you here. What a performance today for Henry Wheeler.
Yeah, thanks, Xander. Like you said, I mean, incredible performance there in the rain. Henry, we talked before this interview. You told me you might have had a bit of an advantage over these guys, right? You've done one pit club race, and it happened to be in the rain. How much did that help you?
Yeah, so just last weekend I was here just practicing a little bit the club race in Briggs, and it was helpful the first few laps, and I had the gap early on, and then at the end I was able to just kind of let off a little bit and have the gap and keep it consistent and get the gap early on and get the lead.
Yeah, I mean, talk to me about your emotions right now, right? First national victory. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it was definitely a good race, and I'm really happy to win it in the rain, and it was the first race that I won was in the rain, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, who'd you like to thank for this victory?
Brandon Jarsakrak, Mike Doty Racing, Amer and SRP Racing Engines, and my parents and family.
All right, thanks, Henry. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's go from Henry Wheeler here. Next to step up on into the podium backdrop, I believe, will be the man that was chasing him for a good portion of that one. Brandon Carr, another podium, another solid day, but not on the top step here. Alex?
Yeah, thanks, Xander. Brandon, I mean, an awesome points haul for you this weekend for sure, right? Entered as the points leader. You're going to exit as the points leader here just because of how good you did in the heat races in the pre-final, but probably a pretty frustrating final for you, right? Just maybe not the pace you would have expected.
Yeah, to be fair, it was a bit awkward, really, because we didn't know the line for one, the kart set up for two, but we just didn't really get the kart set up perfect, and it was hard out there, but good points, as you said, second place, but just got to go into the next one and keep your head and have good results for the championship.
I mean, obviously it poured pretty hard there. I mean, tell us how treacherous was it out there? How difficult were these conditions?
Yeah, it was hard because you hit the curb and then you'd like aquaplane a bit, but it started to dry up a little bit towards the end, but it still wasn't dry enough for anything else to happen.
All right, thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right, and one more guy here, Aiden Fox, Mr. Shaq. You're going to make me look really short here. Aiden, really, really solid run for you here. I mean, just describe your race to me.
Yeah, started 6th. I didn't know if I had the pace for a podium in the dry, but I know we had something in the wet. So on the start, I got a good start, made it up to third, I think. And then from there, I just worked my way forward, made a mistake, fell back a little bit, fell into fourth, and then came back and got second. But unfortunately, got a drop down, but I think it knocked me to third. So I'm still happy with that. It's a good points haul. I'll be in it for the championship when I go to Cincinnati.
I mean, you say you didn't expect a podium here, but you were one of the quickest guys, if not the quickest guy in the rain here. I mean, what do you think set you apart there?
I've driven a lot in the rain the past year. I've always felt really comfortable. I don't know. It's just I like driving in it. So
because you're really tall?
I think that might have something to do with it.
All right, thanks, Aiden.
Yep, thank you.
Well, there you go from Aiden Fox. Your top three here at the end of it all. An unfortunate pushback bumper penalty takes him out of contention. But nonetheless, still third, it looks like, after the way the dust settles. Brandon Carr second, a win, another podium, another top five all the way through the season from heats to mains. It's going to be hard to get Mr. Consistency off the top step of the championship leaderboard when we go to the final round in Cincinnati.
It certainly is. He's been consistent all season, just getting it done. It doesn't always have to be a race win, just bagging those points over the whole weekend. The heat races count, the pre-final counts. If you're consistent over the weekend, you'll come out in a good position exiting the round, and Brandon Carr has certainly done a good job of that all season, and we'll look forward to seeing him at the next one.
Well, as always, for everyone here in the paddock, for the Pitt Race crew, the Stars crew, for our KC crew, Simon Sykes and myself, this was week 7 of 8 in our summer stretch, the final of weekend continuously of racing here before a quick gap week before the SCUSA Summer Nationals. It starts in 5 days. The IAMA USA Grand National Championship, North America's All-Star Race, gets underway here on Friday afternoon with night racing through Friday and Saturday and main events on Sunday. You'll be able to get out more information as we post it through the week. But for now, that's a wrap on the Steel City Showdown here for the Stars Championship Series. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. And we'll see you guys in 5 days' time.